Today's game is being broadcast in Spanish. We're available using the SAP button on your television. Current temperature 65 degrees here in Baltimore. A little bit of wind. Let's bring in the third member of our broadcast crew down to the field in Evan Washburn.
Well, Ian, so much mystery surrounding the availability of Ben Roethlisberger. Once he was declared active at 11:30, I was told, according to Ben, that there were no setbacks this week at all. He also has no limitations coming into this game with that left knee injury. And according to Ben Roethlisberger, he will not wear a brace or any added protection on that left knee. And guys, it's important to note, the biggest reason that Ben's active and also the starter and not the backup, which we've seen, is because of the reps he got this week, about 50% of those first team reps. Guys?
All right, Evan, thanks very much. Yeah, there was a scenario last year where Landry Jones was the starter against Cleveland, went out with an ankle injury. Roethlisberger was the backup in this game. He checks into the game and he just carves up the Browns defense as the number 2 QB.
Yeah, really, Ian. The bye comes at a great time. It came at a great time for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It allowed Ben Roethlisberger to get some extra rest, some treatment on that knee. As you said, he split some reps. He came over on the first bus this morning and got some work in and convinced Mike Tomlin and the rest of this coaching staff that he's ready to go and play his best against the Ravens.
Meanwhile, Baltimore, also the bye came at a time where they needed to get healthy. They're bringing back some star players here today. Baltimore won the toss. They have deferred, and Pittsburgh will receive. Justin Tucker will kick it off. Sammy Coates, the return man. The Steelers and the Ravens for the 45th time. Toussaint is back deep as well, and he will take a knee. Pittsburgh will have it at the 25-yard line. Roethlisberger suffered that injury on October the 17th, torn left meniscus against Miami. No swelling, got the practice time in, and he gets the start.
I'm sure the Ravens are very anxious to see the first couple snaps, what his mobility looks like, especially moving from right to left. It's not so much his straight line movement, it's the lateral movement that they're going to keep an eye on in terms of how they decide to attack and defend Ben Roethlisberger.
The Steelers open up with 3 tight ends, James, Johnson, and Grimble. Shotgun for Roethlisberger. First place on the line in the AFC North. Roethlisberger to throw it on first down. Pushed out of the pocket. Roethlisberger throws it away. He looped one in the direction of Zachary Orr. Pressure from Williams and Guy for Baltimore. Starting offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Marcus Gilbert returning to the lineup. He missed the last 3 games with an ankle injury. Backs and receivers for Pittsburgh. Darius Hayward-Bay will get more opportunities. Opposite Antonio Brown, we'll see Sammy Coates, and Eli Rogers is active as well for the Steelers. Motion man Hayward-Bay on a 2nd and 10. Roethlisberger a running play. The patience of Le'Veon Bell, but the Ravens are ready. They stack him up half a yard on the gain. Albert McClellan leading the charge for Baltimore. Defensively for the Ravens, playing at a Pro Bowl level, Brandon Williams, one of the best run stuffers in the NFL. Linebacker Suggs returns, but so does C.J. Mosley. Mosley missed the last 2 games with a pulled hamstring. And in the secondary, no Sharice Wright. He is out once again. We'll see Tavon Young back there. Jimmy Smith having an outstanding season for Baltimore as well. Will Smith blanket Brown? Will they move him around is the question. B.J. Finney right now is under snapping the ball at center. Give it to Bell. And Bell is stopped well short of a first down. Give him 2 yards. Timmy Jernigan and Zachary Orr make the tackle, and Baltimore is all juiced up on defense to start the day.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned the patience of Le'Veon Bell, and just in visiting with some of the Raven defenders, they've talked about not shooting your gun. You have to let him make the first move. He's a counter-puncher. You can't overcommit with a back like Le'Veon Bell.
Jordan Berry with Devin Hester, who has had some issues holding on to the football, is the return man. He's not even going to touch it. The ball angles towards the sideline, and it's out of bounds. Ravens will take over. They're going to mark it down at the 44. Outstanding field position. It's a 28-yard punt. Joe Flacco 2 weeks ago against the Jets, 2 costly interceptions in that second half. He's gone 6 straight games, Rich, with 40 or more pass attempts.
And so much of what the quarterback does is predicated by what's going on around him. It hasn't been great. There's been a lot of change up front. They haven't had Steve Smith. But the bottom line, and he has to play better in the pocket.
Terrence West gets the call. West tripped up. Looked like West was going to bust that one potentially. But he was hit down low by Jarvis Jones. It's an 8-yard pickup for the Baltimore native.
West has good vision. He's going to start downhill, and you watch him he's going to wind it back. He sees that gap between the center and the left guard. You see the motion around it. It handles Jarvis Jones. He has to rally back inside to make the tackle on West.
Extra offensive lineman here for Baltimore. James Hurst is in. West remains in the backfield on a 2nd and 2. Flacco to throw. Nobody home. And not on the same page with Steve Smith in a matchup with the rookie Artie Burns.
And that's what happens when you don't practice. You look at Steve Smith. He hasn't practiced much time. We were out there Friday, did very little in a kind of a walkthrough situation. He's anticipating a fade route or even a back shoulder throw, but he's late to react.
Steve Smith missed the last 2 games with an ankle injury. He's 12 catches away from 1,000 for his career. Will become the 14th player to do it. So now a 3rd and 2. Aiken goes in motion. Juszczyk in front of West in the backfield. West slashing through for a first down. Inside the Pittsburgh 45. Yonda and Wagner on that right side.
Yeah, pretty straightforward, just downhill. And you look at the formation. You've got a tight end over there, a fullback, and you've got the Aiken to come back and cut off the backside. But Baltimore has talked all week about establishing an identity on offense. John Harbaugh said it has to start with running the football.
Well, that bye week, there's a lot of self-scouting, and I think that was a big message that came out of the bye week for Baltimore. What do they do well on offense? Running the football early has been the statement, and it's the rookie Kenneth Dixon out of Louisiana Tech. Picks up 5 yards on the play. Starting offense for Baltimore, the return of Ronnie Stanley and Marshall Yonda. Yonda just brings that edge to the O-line, and it was missing in his absence. Steve Smith also brings energy and passion, just his presence for Baltimore. We've seen the extra offensive lineman as well. Remember, they had a franchise record low, 11 rushing yards against the Jets 2 weeks ago. And now they've got 20 after that carry by Dixon. Jones with a tackle for Pittsburgh. Defensively for the Steelers, Cameron Hayward back for Pittsburgh. It was hard for him to watch the way the defense got gashed on the ground their last 2 games. Ryan Shazier still building his way up to 100%, dealing with some knee issues. And in the secondary, Artie Burns, we'll see a lot more of him. William Gay is not 100%. They've liked what Burns has brought. Mike Tomlin had praise for the rookie out of Miami. So this is now a 3rd and 2 for Baltimore. Opening possession for the Ravens. Flacco off the hands of the intended receiver, Dennis Pitta, with a penalty marker thrown at the 41. Trying to convert on 3rd down. Our referee is John Hussey.
You just watch the Ravens offensively. The precision hasn't been there. They haven't been very crisp. The consistency, the production have just been a little bit off. And that's why they spent a lot of time during their bye week really working with receivers and the quarterbacks to try and get the timing and the rhythm back in the passing game.
Hussey was checking over on the Pittsburgh sideline what they wanted to do.
Illegal use of the hands to the face, number 79 of the offense. This is a 10-yard penalty, 3rd down.
It's the rookie Ronnie Stanley called on the penalty and back it up for Baltimore.
It is right in front of you, right in your left tackle. He's working on Jarvis Jones. He hits him right in the face, grabs that face mask with the right hand. It's good to get Stanley back in there, and as you point out, Stanley's back at left tackle. Lewis is back at the left guard position. I think the key to it is getting the Pro Bowler back, Marshall Yonda, at the right guard position. Too much change up front with the Ravens the last few weeks.
Ravens were looking at a potential 53-yard field goal attempt. Instead, it's a 3rd and 12. Flacco, not even close. Mike Wallace, the former Steeler, the intended receiver, and Artie Burns drew the matchup for Pittsburgh. It's 4th down.
Now, you mentioned running the football effectively early. Every team that's had success against Pittsburgh has run the ball effectively. And you look at what the Dolphins did a couple weeks ago with Jay Ajayi. Even 2 weeks ago, the Patriots went up to Pittsburgh and ran the football very effectively with LeGarrette Blount. Baltimore has to be able to run the rock against this defense.
So that penalty pushed them out of field goal range. Instead, it's Sam Cook punting to Antonio Brown. Fair catch called for, just short of the 15-yard line, a 34-yard kick. Ben Roethlisberger, his second crack at the Baltimore D when we come back. Backup center B.J. Finney is in, replacing Marquise Pouncey, the four-time Pro Bowler, left after the second play from scrimmage. Finney is snapping to Roethlisberger on a 1st and 10 at the Pittsburgh 12. Le'Veon Bell up the middle for 2 as we check in with Evan Washburn.
And Marquise Pouncey is still in the locker room. He ran in there immediately. He's dealing with a finger injury. The official word is questionable on his return, but again, he is still in the locker room.
So Pittsburgh gets back Marcus Gilbert. They lose Pouncey early. Obviously could come back for the Steelers. They're dealing with that injury. Kobe Hamilton is in, so is Eli Rogers, along with Antonio Brown. Pittsburgh facing a 2nd and 8. 10 minutes to play in the first quarter. Keep it on the ground. Bell, the stutter step. And Bell, they converge around him. A 3-yard gain for Bell. NFL Today update. Let's head to New York. JB and Boomer.
Eagles pay for a turnover. That's right. Carson Wentz throws an interception to Landon Collins. Eli comes back and finds Odell Beckham. 26-yard TD pass, 7-0. New York takes the lead over the Eagles. Ian, Rich, and Evan, who is at home.
Yeah, that's right. Home-cooked meal for Washburn. And a good start for the New York Giants. Gerard Powers in at the nickel for Baltimore. This is a 3rd and 5. Steelers 43% on 3rd down conversions. Roethlisberger lets it fly down the sideline. Almost intercepted. Ladarius Webb stepping in front. The go route to Darius Hayward-Bay. And Big Ben took a hit.
He took a hit, but he never really held the safety eye with his eyes. You're going to see Ladarius Webb. He's in position to make this play if it weren't for the corner. But look at the pressure. Look at Suggs. I mean, how do you not block Terrell Suggs? The guy's got 111.5 career sacks.
Another punt for Jordan Berry. Devin Hester backpedaling. Good punt. It sends Hester back to the 21. Slowed down to the 25. And Hester thrown down as he crossed the 35-yard line. 61-yard punt for Berry and a 15-yard return. We're scoreless. Steelers and Ravens in Baltimore. Questions as to whether or not Ben Roethlisberger would start today. He has started. Steelers have not gotten their offense going in the first 2 possessions. Ravens take over. And it's Chris Moore cutting it upfield and hit by Jarvis Jones. And Jones is injured on the play. He takes the brunt of it. Rookie out of Cincinnati, Chris Moore. And it's Jones slow to get up.
Just looked like he got his hands caught beneath the pile there. Just lands awkwardly at that left arm, and see he comes up right away, and he's clutching.
Jarvis Jones, 43 career games, 5 sacks. This is a contract year for Jones. He's been much more active in his 4th season with the Steelers. We'll step aside. Jarvis Jones in some obvious pain along the Steelers sideline. He's replaced by James Harrison. This was the hit on Chris Moore. 2-yard gain for Baltimore. Ravens go empty here with Flacco on a 2nd rush coming. Flacco gets rid of it and hooks up with Steve Smith. Breaks a tackle. Smith down the sideline, and he's out of bounds. What's been missing from Baltimore? It's been the run after catch. And even that reaction, the emotion that Smith brings to the offense. 30 yards.
Well, it's the attitude, Ian, that he brings. You see the blitz come right off the edge, and Ben Roethlisberger, or Joe Flacco, gets it out quickly to Steve Smith. This is a good sight if you're a Ravens fan. You talk about the juice that he brings to that huddle. You look at the push there, a little bit of a face mask. They don't call it. He lets go quickly, but Steve Smith can be a real difference maker for the Ravens.
And Baltimore now in business at the Pittsburgh 32. A flick to Mike Wallace. And Wallace falls down at the 22-yard line, hit by Artie Burns on the play. Wallace indicating he's got a first down, and he does. 10 yards.
You look at Marty Morningweg there, and you really study offenses. Teams aren't holding the ball against this Pittsburgh defense. Their quarterbacks are getting it out quick. You don't see a lot of 7-step drop throws. You know, you're seeing featured plans with a lot of quick hitting throws from both under center and in the gun.
First 4 years of Wallace's career spent as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Still very close with Antonio Brown. Deep drop. Flacco on first down. Toss it underneath to West. Twirled down short of the 15 by Ryan Shazier. 6 yards on the catch and run. NFL Today update. Let's go to JB and Boomer.
A second Philly pick. That's right. It turns into a second New York Giant touchdown pass from Eli Manning, this time to Roger Lewis Jr. The Giants take a 14-0 lead. Carson Wentz really struggling in the first quarter.
All right, let's take it back to Ian and Rich.
That division very competitive. The NFC East, and potentially a big statement by the Big Blue. They get it done today against Philadelphia. 2nd and 4. West denied. No running space for West. Stephon Tuitt was there. Jarvis Jones back in for Pittsburgh. It was a loss of 1 on the play.
You look at this defense, they've always been a good run defense over the years. And you look at the pursuit on the backside. The big reason why is they play with their pads square up front. They don't get pushed sideways. They do a terrific job forcing backs to go to the edge. Make them run east and west and not north and south.
Middle of the pack statistically this year in that category, but a lot of that has to do with the last 2 games, which has skewed it. Flacco on a line, a juggle. Aiken secures it for a first down inside the 10 against William Gay.
It's always easier if you catch it the first time, but he's able to hold on somehow and make the grab. But you look at the way teams are attacking this Steelers defense, working inside the numbers, these short intermediate throws, forcing Steeler defenders to come up and make the tackle.
Rich.
Third down, correction, third down.
There was a flag. It was an illegal shift for the Baltimore Ravens, so that first down is nullified, and the ball spotted at the 22-yard line.
They've been plagued by the same problems they experienced last season, injuries, mistakes, and close defeats.
Remember, on the first possession, penalty cost them a possible field goal try with the best kicker in the NFL right now, Justin Tucker. This is a 3rd and 10. Delayed rush. It's intercepted. Flacco has it picked off by Artie Burns. First NFL INT for Burns. Mike Mitchell put the heat on Flacco, and Flacco coughs it up. A turnover for Baltimore. Another promising drive ends, and the Steelers take over after the pick. Joe Flacco has now gone 140 straight attempts without a touchdown. Costly interception for Baltimore. 2 drives where they have gotten into Pittsburgh territory. They have no points to show for it. Steelers have it with a 1st and 10 at the 24. Roethlisberger. Drop ball by Jesse James. Incomplete.
You go back and look at the interception. Mike Mitchell's going to blitz. Joe Flacco knows that they don't have him accounted for, so he's going to slide to his right, but he never feels the corner backside. In a critical situation, he always looks back inside to his tight end, Dennis Pitta, but he never feels the backside corner, Artie Burns. That is just too easy. That's a bad decision by Flacco in the red zone.
2nd and 10 for the Steelers. We remain scoreless. 5:38 to play in the opening quarter. David Johnson, second tight end in there for Pittsburgh, and now shifts to the backfield. Roethlisberger, fake the handoff. Looking downfield, Roethlisberger will toss it underneath to Johnson. Johnson has room, and Johnson is hit at the 39 by Tavon Young. Got him down low, but it's a first down. 15 yards. JB and Boomer in New York, NFL Today update.
A name that's becoming familiar.
That would be Jay Ajayi, JB, and his J train's going to go for 20 yards right here for the Dolphins' first touchdown. They're going to take a 7-3 lead. The previous 3 carries, negative yards for the young running back. There he gets it rolling.
Just like the I train, as in Ian.
The I train, I love it.
Really? I'll work out a deal with Amtrak. Ajayi, keep in mind, they left him at home week 1. He didn't travel to Seattle.
Back-to-back 200-yard games, and only 4 running backs in the history of the game have done that.
Play clock winding down, and Roethlisberger did not get the snap in time. A flag is down.
Delay game. Offense number 7. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Todd Haley, now in his 5th year running the offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers, former head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. He and Ben Roethlisberger have developed excellent chemistry.
You know, you look at Ben right now, and I've been watching him closely. I just don't think you see the explosiveness in the lower part of his body. And you think about playing that position, the quarterback throws with his legs as much as he does with his arm.
Operating out of the gun, Roethlisberger tosses to Jesse James. Safe toss underneath, under 6 yards. They'll give him the 6 as C.J. Mosley makes the hit. Be the first to know your team's news with the CBS Sports app. Get instant updates, expert analysis, highlights, and more. Download the CBS Sports app today.
I don't think there's any chance he's 100%, but you know Ben Roethlisberger's a warrior. He's going to be out there with his teammates, especially in a game that matters so much, the Baltimore Ravens.
Steelers are on the road 3 of the next 4 games, including this one. Dallas home next week, then at Cleveland and at Indianapolis. Flag down. Handoff was going to Le'Veon Bell, but a penalty marker at the 41.
Think out of their own way.
Full start. Offense number 77. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
It's been disjointed for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this opening quarter. Marcus Gilbert.
Well, I think one good sign, after Ben hurt his knee against Miami, he spent the entire second half operating exclusively out of the shotgun. I told you that he was really limited in terms of his movement and mobility, but we're seeing him back under center, which really helps them in terms of their play action and their ability to run the football with Le'Veon Bell.
Nickel package here for Baltimore. Gerard Powers is in. And a dump off for Le'Veon Bell. Bell weaving his way through traffic, hit from behind. And tackled at the 45-yard line. Matt Judon chasing him down. Judon, the rookie out of Grand Valley State, is certainly making his mark for this Baltimore defense. Had a couple of sacks against the Jets. So a 10-yard pickup. And it sets up 3rd and 4 for the Steelers. Four receiver set. Johnson goes in motion. Antonio Brown has not been involved as of yet. Le'Veon Bell runs into a wall. Eric Weddle right in the middle of it for Baltimore.
Talk about getting a bunch of hats to the ball. Look at all those purple helmets up around the line of scrimmage. For the most part, you study this Ravens defense, they have been pretty stout against the run. They're currently 4th in run defense. You're giving up just around 82 yards a game on the ground.
They've gone conservative now on a couple of 3rd down chances, which leads you to question Roethlisberger's limitations or the way they're going to call this game. Walking the tightrope down the field, Jamarco Thomas somehow stopped on a dime before momentum carried him into the end zone. 50-yard punt.
Welcome back to Baltimore. We talk about special teams. Every play in special teams being the most important play in the game because it equals field position or points. Look at the terrific effort here by Jamarco Thomas and having the wherewithal to toss that ball back. It's been a battle of field position so far between the Ravens and the Steelers.
They will spot the football at the 4-yard line where Thomas touched it. If he would have ended up in the end zone, obviously it comes back to the 20. And off, Dixon going up the gut, and he has stood up. Gain of 1 on the play for Baltimore.
And we always talk about making sure we get the quarterback off to a good start, get him comfortable. That hasn't happened so far for Flacco. He's been hit, he's been rushed, he's been hurried, and this decision was one that he'll definitely want back. We always say that, that this game isn't a game without mistakes, but at the quarterback position, you have to keep them to a minimum. The last couple weeks, it hasn't been good enough for Flacco.
Good hands, Mike Wallace, stiff arm, Wallace has got speed! Mike Wallace down the sideline, a complete foot race! Wallace going all the way, touchdown Baltimore! He does it against his former team. Mike Wallace, track-like, quickness.
Yeah, just the slant route. Poor angle by the safety, but as a defensive back, I can promise you that Mike Wallace's speed gets your attention. He has that third gear to pull away from tacklers. Look at this catch, away from his body, and he knows right away he's got to get his eyes back up the field because he has to deal with the safety. Not a lot of defensive backs are going to be able to tackle Mike Wallace once he gets by in the secondary.
Rich, 95 yards. Longest pass of Joe Flacco's career. Wallace takes it the distance. The extra point is good for Tucker, and a big smile for John Harbaugh. The Ravens strike first. Mike Wallace, big play abilities on display at M&T Bank Stadium. We asked Mike Wallace about signing with Baltimore. He said it really was the closest thing to Pittsburgh in that environment, atmosphere, and approach. He felt he could have spent 20 years with the Steelers, but the money took him in a different direction. Miami offered him silly money. They didn't embrace his personality, and in his eyes, Baltimore has.
Yeah, he got lost in the shuffle a little bit, and I think down in Miami, and also Minnesota, where, you know, obviously that offense was predicated on running the football with Adrian Peterson, but he's found a home here in Baltimore, and as you said, he wanted to go somewhere where they throw the football. And if you look at the numbers for the first 7 weeks, no one has thrown it more than the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, we mentioned that's Flacco's longest pass of his career. Wallace actually had a 95-yarder as a member of the Steelers. Who threw that ball? Ben Roethlisberger. This doesn't come out of left field for Wallace. Last 2 games, long catches in each of them. 70 yards against the Giants, and then inside that same stadium, MetLife, 53-yard reception against the Jets.
I would describe him as a guy that has rare and unusual speed. Through that Steeler defense, you've got to be able to keep things in front of you. When you play against Flacco and the Ravens, they take a couple shots each quarter down the field.
Big plays with the Pittsburgh Steelers from 2009 to 2012, 40-plus yards from scrimmage plays. Miami, the numbers went down, of course. Minnesota didn't see any, and in Baltimore already 4 this season for Wallace. Touchback, 1st and 10 at the 25, and the Steelers are now in a 7-0 hole. Roethlisberger over the middle. Antonio Brown, the intended receiver, and a flag is down. Brown is not putting up the numbers that he's put up in recent years, and he's been seeing a lot of double teams.
This is going to be on Zachary Orr. I think he just grabs a piece of Antonio Brown as he's darting by him.
Officials huddling up to talk about it. Orr just shrugged his shoulders.
Pass interference. Defense number 54. The ball we placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic. First down.
It is the speedy Zachary Orr. Now that's quite a challenge going against Antonio Brown.
And I love the fact that Steelers offensive coordinator Todd Haley, he moves Antonio Brown around. He's not just going to line him out up outside the numbers. He moves him in the slot. They short motion him. They get him these bunch and stack releases. It makes it very difficult for the Ravens to try and double him the entire game.
So it turns into a 21-yard penalty. They're trying to sort out the spot. .103 to play in this first quarter. They're going to spot the football at the 36. They move the ball 11 yards.
He just gets a piece of Antonio Brown. They're trying to throw that slant route, and they try to get it in the second window on the back shoulder of Orr.
Did you see much there from Orr? Enough for the penalty?
I think so. I mean, he gets enough up before the catch.
Toss it to Le'Veon Bell. He's met by Tavon Young on the play, and they limit Bell to a 1-yard pickup.
I've been so impressed as I've studied tape for this game and analyzing Le'Veon Bell. An extremely patient runner. As you said, he'll pause, he'll wait for a crease and then slam right up through it. He's an explosive playmaker, and I think when he's healthy, as he is now, I think he's the most complete back in the game.
2nd and 9. Antonio Brown does not have a catch in this first quarter. It's Bell again. Bell looking for the hole. Keeps the legs churning and picks up 4 yards in the process. They separate the two teams after there was some jawing going on after the play. It's going to do it for this first quarter. The Baltimore Ravens with a 7-0 lead on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Important matchup today in the AFC North with first place in the division on the line. We'll return to M&T Bank Stadium after this. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Matt LeBlanc stars in the new comedy Man with a Plan. Don't miss a new episode. That's tomorrow after Kevin Can Wait, right here on CBS. We start the second quarter. Pouncey back in there for Pittsburgh, left with a finger injury during the first series of the day. This is a 3rd and 5 for the Steelers, and they'll go empty here with Roethlisberger out of the gun. Roethlisberger pulls the trigger, low throw, incomplete in the direction of Sammy Coates, and it's 4th down.
It just seems like they're out of sync right now. He had the look that he wanted. Coates just running a little inside cut. Ben's just not sure. He's anticipating something different there. Clearly wasn't happy with the route.
He just has not looked right.
I don't think he's moving as well. And I think certainly that's a big part of his game, his ability to move around and extend plays with his legs.
Barry's punt bounces in the air. Hester decides not to charge at it, and Pittsburgh will down it after the 43-yard kick. The Ravens had their annual Goodwill Gridiron Halloween party last month. Ravens players hosted the party and auction, which has raised more than $2 million in 17 years. Proceeds are donated towards training and employment programs for disabled and underprivileged citizens. Good to see I Dream of Jeannie there as well. Well represented. Start of the second quarter, Ian Eagle, Rich Gannon, and Evan Washburn, the rest of our NFL on CBS crew. Joe Flacco, that was the longest play in Ravens history, 95 yards on the touchdown to Mike Wallace.
And sometimes when you're struggling a little bit, Ian, it's a play like that that can really get you jump-started as an offense.
Since winning the Super Bowl, the Ravens are 26-29. This is the first 4-game losing streak under Harbaugh. Oh, ball pops loose, it's West. Scooped up, dangerous. Kamar Aiken, instead of just jumping on it, tried to remain on his feet. And the Steelers swarm towards it. It's a loss of 13 on the play.
Well, penetration, I mean, you talk about the importance, go ahead and roll it. I mean, West has no chance. I mean, as soon as he gets this ball, he's going to get popped right in the hole. Ryan Shazier, he's a downhill, decisive linebacker that has great quickness and anticipation. West has to do a better job squeezing the ball, but Shazier is a real difference maker inside for the Steelers.
Forcing turnovers has been an issue for Pittsburgh, and that was a golden opportunity. West running into a crowd and still running. Good effort from West across the 10-yard line. Daniel McCullers in on the hit. It's a 9-yard gain.
You like the toughness of a back like West. Gets you a lot of yards after the initial contact. Keeps those legs churning and always seems to be falling forward at the end of runs.
3rd and 14 now.
These are the situations you want to stay out of against the Pittsburgh defense. They give them a lot of options, a lot of pressure in this situation with this corner off the edge.
Flacco underneath to Pitta. So the Steelers were not going to let Baltimore get downfield there. They were willing to give up the underneath stuff. And it's a 6-yard gain. Lawrence Timmons and Sean Davis collaborate. Baltimore will punt with a 7-0 lead.
You think about this game, and this game is never about stats. You know, it usually boils down to just two things. Whichever team can be the more physical team and whichever team does a better job protecting the football. When you study the history between the Ravens and the Steelers.
Ravens have won 3 in a row in the series. It was a series dominated early by Pittsburgh, and when you talk to some of the Ravens, general sense was they weren't getting respect early on, and that respect has been earned through the years. Ravens have won 2 Super Bowls. That helps. Antonio Brown, change of direction skills. Brown gets out of bounds. So the Steelers will have good field position after the 48-yard punt and 8-yard return. Ravens up a touchdown on Pittsburgh in the second. There's nobody that could have been happier with the news that Ben Roethlisberger was starting than Antonio Brown. All of his career touchdowns have come from Ben Roethlisberger, but that first quarter, no catches, first time since 2014 that Brown has gone through a first quarter without a grab.
And that's frustrating, Ian, for a receiver. The Ravens have talked all week about containing Antonio Brown. He's targeted as much as any receiver in the game.
3 tight ends in this formation. Trying to stiff arm Le'Veon Bell. Nowhere to run. Terrell Suggs, first man there, with a penalty marker thrown at the 37. Loss of 3 on the play.
You look at that arm taped up, and it's a guy that wouldn't miss this game for the world. He talked to the team on Thursday about the importance of this rivalry. 17 current Ravens haven't experienced or played in this rivalry. He wanted to make sure everyone knew what they were getting into this week.
Face mask.
Personal foul, face mask, offense number 26. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the previous spot. First down.
It was Bell against Suggs, trying to create some space, and clearly
He's got a hold of it.
got the hand in there.
Almost rips the helmet off.
Torn left biceps for Suggs. Same part of the bicep that he tore in 2012. He said you don't realize how much you use something until you need it. He's done his best to become numb to the pain in the last 2 weeks, but he said it can be really
And
agonizing.
there's nothing they can do, Ian, to shoot that up before the game. He's got to go out there and play with the pain.
Toss it to Jesse James over the middle. James is gang tackled short of the 35 by McClellan and Mosley. That's 7 yards through the air.
You look at Ben just sitting in there. He hit the pump fake. You can't fall for the pump fake. He does it a lot. Really slows down the rush sometimes. Got to get these tight ends going. We've got some young tight ends. Really like Jesse James. Look at the firepower that they have offensively. You're not going to completely shut them down, but you have to do the best job you can taking away players like Antonio Brown.
They were hoping to get Ladarius Green back. He's on the physically unable to perform his practice this week. Roethlisberger throwing, nearly intercepted. C.J. Mosley got his hands on it. Eli Rogers, the intended target for Pittsburgh.
This is unusual for Ben Roethlisberger. He just locks in on the inside receiver, and he never feels C.J. Mosley drop in zone coverage. Never looks over there. Look how deep Mosley is pre-snap. He could have had an interception. The ball hit him in a bad place. Right in the hands.
Asked Eric Weddle about Mosley. He said he's wise beyond his years. He's been blown away by his knowledge and instincts in just his 3rd year in the NFL out of Alabama. This is now a 3rd and 18. Feels like the Steelers have been going uphill all day. Deep ball out there. Hayward Bay broken up. And Hayward Bay is down. The 8-year veteran, highly respected on this team. He's worked his way into a more pronounced role. And Hayward Bay cannot get up. Lardarius Webb was back there defensively. The extension by Hayward Bay. Webb brought him down. Medical staff is out there checking on the vet.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the all-new versatile Honda Ridgeline. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. And by Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Available now.
Darius Hayward Bay. They have taken off the sneaker. Foot injury for Hayward Bay as he went down trying to make that catch. It bounces to Hester. Devin Hester to the outside, and he's brought down there. 42-yard punt and a 12-yard return for Hester with a penalty marker on the play. John Hussey's been a busy man. 3 penalties against Pittsburgh, 3 against Baltimore.
This one's going to be against Baltimore.
Ravens are on pace to have 128 penalties this season. That would be the 2nd most in team history.
That's very Raider-esque.
It is.
When you think about the Raiders setting the record last week, 23 penalties in a game against the Buccaneers, an overtime game, and still found a way to win it.
And not Harbaugh-esque. That's his background.
Oh, real discipline. And, you know, you talked about them their inability to form an identity on offense and some of the problems that they've had.
During the
Mistakes.
kick, personal foul, number 42 of the receiving team. He went out of bounds and blocked the player of the kicking team. That's half the distance from the end of the kick. First down.
Marqueston Huff, the guilty party.
Well, it's been a frustrating day for Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers offense. You talk about the importance of getting off to a good start. He hasn't been able to set his feet in the pocket. Hasn't been able to get the football down the field to Antonio Brown or even to Le'Veon Bell, who's so good out of the backfield. Sometimes it just seems like the game is moving a little bit too quickly for a quarterback when you just can't find your rhythm early in a game.
Steelers are 5-11 in their last 16 games against teams with a losing record. They come into this game against a Baltimore squad that is 3-4. Look at numbers on Roethlisberger. First start after injuries, the record is 2-5 for the Steelers. One game that didn't go towards those numbers last year. He played the majority of the game, even though he didn't start against Cleveland, and put up huge numbers against the Browns. 276 yards and 3 touchdowns. Contact. Dixon handles it. And Dixon finally brought down with a penalty marker at the 9. Robert Golden was in there with Dixon. Potential face mask. 10:57 to go first half.
Personal foul, face mask. Number 91 of the defense. 15-yard penalty enforced from the end of the run. Automatic. First down.
Well, Tuitt gets in there. Jaquillo actually caught it on 91 Tuitt. It's actually 56.
Well, it's a penalty against Pittsburgh. You want to pick the number. And Darius Hayward-Bay has been carted off for the Steelers. So a wide receiving core that's dealt with injuries. No Martavis Bryant this season. Martavis suspended for the year. Marcus Wheaton is inactive today for Pittsburgh. Flacco, play fake. And the toss to Kenneth Dixon, who covers 4 yards. NFL Today update. Let's go to JB and Boomer.
3 lead changes in Miami. Pretty good game down there, JB. Tannehill right here is going to find Dominique Jones for a 1-yard touchdown pass on 3rd and goal. Dolphins take a 14-10 lead over the Jets. Tannehill 6 of 7, 67 yards, and that touchdown. Back to Ian Eagle.
Well, New England dominating that division again. Everybody is looking up at the Patriots. Kenneth Dixon, somebody lost their hat on the play. Combination of Jones and Hayward. It was Yanda who lost the helmet, and 2 flags thrown. 1 in the backfield and 1 in the secondary.
Illegal use of the hands, hands to the face. Defense number 79. 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic. First down.
It's Javon Hargrave, the rookie out of South Carolina State.
Yeah, you look right there in the middle of your screen. He's got his hands, his right hand on the face mask of Marshall Yanda. Hargrave's going to be a good one. Once he figures it out. You know, to play a great 3-4 defense, you have to have a good nose tackle that can take on those double teams. And they feel that Hargrave can be that guy.
Hargrave grew up in Salisbury, Maryland, and Keith Butler and Mike Tomlin making the decision to start him in the middle of that defensive line. Shotgun on 1st and 10, low throw, ball pops free, and it's incomplete. Artie Burns with a hit on Terrence West. 2nd and 10 for Baltimore.
I always think it's important as a quarterback, you have to look out in front of throws, and you have to be able to see the corner that's closing. He has help over the top, so he knows he can jump this flat route. And if you're Joe Flacco, you can't lead your good buddy into a head-on collision. Have to look out in front of throws. That's how guys get hurt.
Baltimore Ravens 6-2 after the bye under John Harbaugh, coming off the bye week here. West muscling his way out across the 40-yard line with McCullers and Tuitt there. Limit West to a 2-yard pickup.
I think it's important that the Ravens stay patient with the running game. You've got a quarterback that has struggled some, and you've got an offensive line that's getting healthier up front. They need to crank up the running game. They had just 11 yards on the ground against the Jets in Week 7, their worst single-game rushing performance in franchise history. They're averaging just 86 yards a game on the ground. They've got to get those numbers heading back in the right direction.
Now a 3rd and long. Flacco on 3rd and 8. Flag is thrown. Flacco to the sideline. Steve Smith Sr. battling with Artie Burns. And I mean battling. Harbaugh gets in there. Burns is on his back. And the penalty is going to go against Baltimore.
Third down.
Boy, the penalties are killing them. This is the matchup that they want. They want the veteran Steve Smith on the rookie corner, Artie Burns. He's going to be a good one, but until he figures it out, you got to make sure you keep attacking him. Keep finding out about him. It's great. Jostling for the ball. You look at Steve Smith. This is what you know, and you were talking about the catcher earlier. This is what he gives you. He gives you some toughness. He gives you some leadership. He gives you some emotion and some passion, which this offense has been lacking the last couple of weeks without 89 in the lineup.
Penalty was against the rookie Ronnie Stanley, so back it up 10 yards. 3rd and 18. They'll give it to Juszczyk. They go conservative, and Ryan Shazier gets the fullback down low, and it's only 2 yards on the gain. 4th down for Baltimore.
It's a bit unusual to have your fullback as your 3rd down back. He's a smart guy who understands protections. He's an excellent blocker, but look at Shazier. He does a terrific job sniffing this one out. He's a terrific tackler in the open field.
Ravens came into the week last in the NFL in touchdowns. 11 touchdowns, 10 on offense, 1 fumble recovery. They have a touchdown today, the long one to Mike Wallace, 95 yards. Another penalty flag, this one at the 33-yard line.
Sloppy.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense number 50. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Well, the 5 yards isn't going to be enough for Baltimore. They still have to make the same decision here with Sam Cook averaging 47.5 yards per punt out to boot it. Antonio Brown backs up. He'll now wait for it at the 10-yard line for Pittsburgh. Good rush. Cook goes down, and a flag is down. That one is along the sideline and out of bounds. Penalty marker where Cook kicked the football.
Personal foul. Roughing the kicker. Defense number 29, correction. Contact to the plant leg. Automatic.
They're going to get the cross, and you see Shamarko Thomas. He comes in here clean. He's got a good shot at this one. He gets pushed, but he's not able to pull up, and unfortunately falls into the leg of Sam Cook. This one could have been blocked. They were close.
Shamarko Thomas made the special teams play earlier that pinned the Ravens deep in their own territory. They turned that into a 95-yard touchdown, and now Thomas is called on the roughing the kicker.
Well, another break for the Ravens, and can you capitalize it? Can you take advantage of the field position?
The Pittsburgh Steelers have 51 yards of offense. They have 65 penalty yards. And look where the Ravens take over in Pittsburgh territory. This drive remains alive. On a 1st down from the 47. Flacco trying to find a rhythm here. Steve Smith Sr. with the catch. And Smith is draped on top of Ross Cockrell. 3-yard gain.
Mike's not at all happy with the call in that particular situation. He's not happy with the way they have started offensively, and we saw the graphic. They're just struggling to find the rhythm.
2nd and 7 now for Baltimore. Kenneth Dixon in the backfield. He gets a call. Dixon with a cut. Dixon plows forward for 3. Hayward and Jones combined on the hit. Kenneth Dixon dealing with injuries in his rookie year, now finally getting an opportunity. Terrence West is the starter. Dixon backs him up. They also have Javorius Allen and Lorenzo Taliaferro, who was activated before the bye and saw some limited action against the Jets. Quick count. Flacco too far. Rashad Perriman. Artie Burns there with Perriman. 2 young guys going at it. Perriman in his 2nd year. He missed his entire rookie season with a knee injury.
Well, you look at Perriman. He was supposed to be the deep threat to replace Torrey Smith, but so far he hasn't produced. But he clearly has the rookie corner beat. Artie Burns. Flacco has to give him a catchable ball.
So the Ravens do nothing with the penalty that gave them new life. Cook high in the air. This one bounces at the 5 and will be down at the 7 by Perriman on special teams. Baltimore with a 7-0 lead over Pittsburgh. Tuesday,
Number
America
74
votes
is
for
recording.
president, and CBS News is your place for results. Award-winning original reporting, expert analysis, live nationwide, morning, evening, and primetime. Election Day, Tuesday, only CBS. Steelers have been blanked by the Ravens. 7-0 lead for Baltimore with 6:27 to go in the first half. Handed off to Le'Veon Bell. They have gotten nothing out of the running game as Brandon Williams and Lawrence Guy is there to greet him. A 2-yard pickup. Downstairs to Evan Washburn.
Line, we saw Darius Hayward-Bay go down with a right foot and ankle injury. The previous possession, the Maryland native is out for the rest of this game. And one other note on an injury, see Pouncey back in there. We told you it was a finger. It's his right thumb on his snapping hand, so something to keep an eye on.
All right, Evan, thanks very much. 2 plays for Pouncey to start and then quickly out of the game, replaced by B.J. Finney. Pouncey's been back in there the last few series. Darius Hayward-Bay out of Silver Springs, Maryland. And an unfortunate injury for him. Spin move, it's not working for Pittsburgh. No gain on the play. Steelers, this is a team that talked about averaging 30 points per game this season. That was the goal from Todd Haley and company. First 5 possessions here in Baltimore today. Punt, 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 punt.
Yeah, and the game plan's been pretty straightforward for the Ravens on defense. Double Antonio Brown. Don't let him get started. And take away Le'Veon Bell. They're crowding the line of scrimmage. They're making it very difficult. Someone other than those 2 players has to step up and make a play for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
On a 3rd and 8 for Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger trying to set it up. He does to Bell, but does not get to the marker. Tavon Young and Zachary Orr swarm to Bell. No first down for the Steelers.
Just keep an eye on Antonio Brown up here. Look at the coverage. Look at the 3. There's 3 defenders working in the direction of Antonio Brown. Ben Roethlisberger wants to throw it to him. He's got no other choice. He has to check it down to his back. They are going out of their way to make sure that Antonio Brown doesn't get a sniff.
And they've accomplished it. No catches for Brown. Barry punting deep in his own territory. Devin Hester punters to the 28. And Hester has no room on the short side of the field as he's out of bounds. 56-yard punt, no return. Flacco and the Ravens have a 7-0 lead. They've got the football when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx, helping small businesses simplify e-commerce. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Inner Harbor here in Baltimore. Great place to experience an NFL game. Opened back in September of 1998 and has become a staple here in Charm City. Ravens have a 7-0 lead, 185 yards for Baltimore. Pittsburgh has been limited to 59. Terrence West the run and picks up 2 for Baltimore, hit by Vince Williams for Pittsburgh.
I just looked at the numbers on 3rd down. Both teams really struggling. Look at the Ravens, just 1 of 6. The Steelers 0 for 6 on 3rd down. And I remember that conversation we had with Mike Tomlin last night. He said, when we don't function well on 3rd down, there aren't enough balls to go around. That's the problem right now for Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell.
2nd down and 8 for Baltimore. 2 tight ends, Pitta and Waller. Fake the handoff to West. Flacco tosses it down the sideline. Incomplete. It was Waller. In a matchup with James Harrison.
That's the matchup you want. You think about it, James Harrison is the great pass rush. You want to make him play in space and cover the tight end. This is close. Harrison does just enough. He's able to grab the right hand. And look at Shazier. He's just going to walk the back right into the lap of Joe Flacco.
Terrence West got flattened on the play by Shazier. Harrison had that little grab on Waller that may have thrown off the timing for the youngster Darren Waller. 3rd and 8 now for Baltimore. Play clock is down to 2. Whistle blows and a timeout.
First charge timeout, Baltimore. This will be a 30-second charge timeout.
We'll step aside with 3:37 to play in the first half. The Baltimore Ravens had a winless October. They have not lost 5 in a row since a 9-game losing streak back in 2007.
It's the worst stretch they've had since John Harbaugh arrived way back in 2008.
That was Brian Billick's last year. 3rd and 8 for the Ravens. After the timeout, Flacco in the pocket, slings it. Low throw is handled, but Harriman could not get to the first down marker. Arthur Moats helped make sure of it.
Look, Flacco fading away from throws and still able to get this one in there accurately to Perryman. It's one of the issues that Joe has had. We've talked with the offensive coordinator, Marty Morningway. They're trying to encourage him to step into more throws and not fade away from throws. He's got the arm talent. It's a gift, but it also can be a curse at times, and he can get lazy with his feet.
How about the communication, Flacco, between Morningwig and how all of that works? New offensive coordinator, so a new dynamic.
Yeah, communication obviously critical, but you know, some quarterbacks, as you know, they want a lot. They want a lot of information in their headset. They want to know why the play's being called, the tips and reminders. Joe's not that kind of guy. He doesn't want to be overloaded with information. He wants to be able to go out and play the game and react to what he sees.
I'm going to say, going out on a limb, you were in the other category.
I wanted all the information I could get prior to stepping in that huddle.
Sam Cook punts it. Antonio Brown ranges over there, but that ball is out along the perimeter and it bounces out of bounds. So the Steelers will take over. The 17, 46-yard punt. The NFL is honoring the military in its Salute to Service games this week. That includes Pittsburgh offensive lineman Alejandro Villanueva. West Point graduate, he had 3 tours in Afghanistan as a platoon leader with the Army Rangers. And in honor of Veterans Day, for every point scored during the NFL's 32 Salute to Service games, the league will donate $1,000 to its military nonprofit partners, the Pat Tillman Foundation, USO, and Wounded Warrior Project. To join the salute and learn more, visit NFL.com/salute. Steelers have 3 minutes and change to work with. Finally, Brown gets his first catch and he motors towards the sideline. 5-yard gain on the catch and run.
When you look at a coordinator's call sheet, you have specific plays in mind for a player like Antonio Brown. You know, Todd Haley has that. He's had a difficult time because there's been so much double coverage today on Antonio Brown. The Ravens don't want him to be a factor. You look at the corner, Smith is down. They're getting so much help over the top from Eric Weddle.
2nd and 5 for Pittsburgh. Steelers have 2 timeouts remaining. Le'Veon Bell hit down low. Lardarius Webb went right to the ankles, and it's a 3-yard gain for Bell.
You got to be able to shoot your gun when you're playing against a back like Le'Veon Bell. You got to come in there with a purpose. That's a good form tackle by Lardarius Webb. Try and get Le'Veon Bell up top. He can shake you and make you miss.
Rich, the Steelers have not converted on a 3rd down conversion. They are 0 of 6. This is a 3rd and 2. Bell has been held to 17 yards rushing. Pitch it to him, and the play whistle dead. A flag down.
Full start. Offense number 82. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
That's 8 penalties now against the Steelers. That one against David Johnson.
He's got a little bit of antsy. He's in short motion. He knows he has to crack the end man on the line of scrimmage.
And we are seesawing back and forth between the total yards for Pittsburgh leading the way and the penalty yards. Now it's the penalty yards, 70 compared to 67 for Pittsburgh on offense. We've hit the 2-minute warning in Baltimore. Coming up, Verizon Halftime Report, JB and the gang. Scores and highlights, preview of Thursday Night Football on the NFL Network. That's coming up. Verizon Halftime Report on a 3rd and 7 for Pittsburgh. 2 minutes to play in this first half. Baltimore leads at 7-0. Floater, incomplete. Trying to lead Le'Veon Bell, and that's Pittsburgh's offensive day in a nutshell. Timing has just been off. Nothing is working.
This is a throw that Ben Roethlisberger makes in his sleep. He knows what he has. He's got internal pressure. He's just trying to flip this one out to Le'Veon Bell, let him make a play or miss. Ben looks out of sorts right now. And you can understand, you know, you missed some practice time this week. He split reps with Landry Jones. They waited till this morning to make a determination. He just doesn't look like his normal self.
Jordan Berry will punt it. Devin Hester is standing at his own 36-yard line for Baltimore. Berry with the boot. And Hester did not charge forward. Instead, he backed up. The Steelers had coverage down the field. And Baltimore will take over at the 26, a 54-yard punt for Berry. The quarterback comparison, Roethlisberger and Flacco. Ben Roethlisberger, 7 of 14, 50 yards. Flacco's 8 of 14, and most of the yardage came on the one play to Wallace, 95 yards for the touchdown.
Well, the problem is they're not getting the opportunities. Pittsburgh has just 23 offensive snaps in the first half. We talked about the struggles on third down. 0 for 7 on third down. Now, if you can't convert a third down, you can't keep drives alive.
Berry has 7 punts, averaging 48 yards per kick. Flacco with a laser. Steve Smith with the grab. And brought down at the 35 by Timmons. 9-yard gain. Let's go to Evan.
Well, and you mentioned Mike Wallace and that 95-yard touchdown. He's in the locker room right now being evaluated for an illness. His return is questionable. We'll have more for you to start the third.
All right, Evan, shotgun. They give it to Dixon. And Cameron Hayward sniffs it out immediately for Pittsburgh.
And you really take away that big play from Flacco to Wallace, and there really hasn't been much offense really from either team in the first half. Both teams have struggled on third down. Both teams have had a difficult time on the early downs running the football. I think this has been a real defensive battle. But you talk about halftime adjustments. Both teams need to go in at halftime and make some adjustments offensively. Pittsburgh's got to find a way to get the ball to Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell in space.
There was no sense of urgency from the Baltimore Ravens. Time just kept ticking away, and finally a timeout is called on a 3rd and 3. Ravens just lost about 30 seconds as they were trying to huddle up and figure out what the next play was, and then they used the timeout as the play clock was starting to tick down.
Poor clock management. Sense of urgency from either offense.
They spread it on a 3rd and 3. Flacco to Steve Smith, and it's going to be enough for a first down.
There is just a comfort level from a quarterback's perspective when you have your go-to guy, Steve Smith, back on the field. And you just, there's a comfort level, there's a history there between these two players.
But again, the Ravens were not ready to snap it with a play call. Another timeout. Coming up, Verizon Halftime Report. JB and the rest of the crew in New York. Scores and highlights coming up. Verizon Halftime Report. Flacco is off the mark, but a flag is thrown. Perriman with Artie Burns on the outside.
I think Artie Burns just held on a little bit too long there. The Raven bench came to life.
Pass interference. Defense number 25. The ball we place at the spot of the foul. Automatic. First down.
He's in good position, but right there, you just can't grab the back of Rashad Berryman's jersey. Berryman is a guy that they need to settle in and start making some plays. He has the size and the speed you want. He just needs to work on the consistency.
They need about 15 yards to get into Tucker range. Flacco working the perimeter to Perriman. 34 seconds left. Perriman against Burns once again, and that's a 16-yard pass. So now Tucker can get mentally ready.
Good looking route, a deep comeback, and look at him turn Burns right around. He's not able to transition out of the cut, but really nice route there by Perriman.
Tucker has a long this year of 53, career long of 61. He has not missed this season. One of 2 kickers that can say that. The great Adam Vinatieri, the other. Ball's now on the 37. Flacco to Perriman. As Evan reported, Mike Wallace dealing with an illness of some sort in the locker room, so Perriman is getting some extra reps. Flacco spikes it with 22 seconds to go.
Well, they're going after the rookie, and it makes sense. See an extended playing time today.
Ravens are out of timeouts. They called back-to-back timeouts on their side of the field.
They have such speed at the wide receiver position. When you think about Mike Wallace, who's no longer playing in the locker room, but also Perryman, it really gets your attention as a corner, and you don't want to get beat, so you wind up giving up a lot of routes underneath.
Have to be careful with the time here. 22 seconds to play. Flacco, rush coming. Flacco downfield, almost intercepted. Aiken the target. Lawrence Timmons got a piece.
This is a terrific effort by Lawrence Timmons. Watch him run down the middle of the field with the faster Kamar Aiken. That's just enough to get that ball in there. You're seeing so much two-deep man coverage. It forces Timmons to have to play man-to-man inside against a number 2 slot receiver.
So now it's third down. 17 seconds left to play. You can't have an underneath completion in the middle of the field or you could run out of time. Flacco tosses to the sideline. So they had one last crack at it, and a flag is down.
Holding. Offense number 79. 10-yard penalty. Third down.
And that's Ronnie Stanley on the hold, and that changes the whole complexion here. Now they're looking at a 54-yard field goal.
You know, you see Stanley with Harrison. He's just going to bring him down to the ground. That's a lot of work for the rookie. Harrison has seen it. He's done it all. He can still rush the passer with the best of them.
So now Justin Tucker gets a couple of more kicks in. They have to work this to the sideline, or you take one shot at the end zone. That would be it. The only options.
That's the choice. You got to get man-to-man coverage. You can throw the deep out. If not, maybe take a shot to the end zone.
12 seconds left. Flacco. Sideline, incomplete. Steve Smith, the intended receiver, and now it's Justin Tucker time. He's been so clutch for this Baltimore squad. 54-yard attempt for Tucker. The second most accurate kicker in NFL history. 18 of 18 on field goal attempts this season. This is from 54 yards away. And 2 flags come down in the end zone. $12 men on the field.
Too many men on the field. Defense. They were in formation. That is a 5-yard penalty. Fourth down.
We got 12. That'll drive Mike Tomlin absolutely crazy. The mistakes, the penalties, the lack of execution. It's been a real mess in the first half for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And it gives Tucker 5 yards off the attempt. Now a 49-yarder for Tucker.
Tucker doesn't need any extra help. They're the best in the business.
Trying to add to the Baltimore lead.
Another penalty.
A jump. Tucker drills it, but a flag down. Jamarco Thomas.
Something tells me there's a team that's going to get a stern talking to at the half. What do you think?
There could be a reporter who gets a stern talking to. Evan Walford.
Offside. Defense number 29. That penalty is declined. The result of the play, field goal is good.
So they're going to take the field goal. The time was the issue. Baltimore couldn't take another crack on offense.
He just jumps the gun.
Tucker nails it. They're not going to take the points off the board. They'll take the 10-0 lead. And with 3 seconds left on the clock, Baltimore will hit the break in front of the Steelers.
Never a good thing when you have more penalty yards in the first half than you do offensive yards. 84 penalty yards on 10 penalties for the Steelers. Just 67 yards of offense. They've got to get some things straightened out, and it starts with their quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, who had really struggled on him.
Would there be any consideration to to making a change at that position.
Not unless you go into the locker room at halftime and the quarterback tells you that I'm not feeling good. I'm not moving around. I'm hurting our football team right now. I can't imagine that conversation would take place between Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, he's not moving great. We saw that, but he's still Ben Roethlisberger. I think it's a team issue right now more so than just a quarterback issue.
Landry Jones got half of the snaps this week in practice, so Jones was preparing physically and mentally for the potential of starting this game. They waited until a legitimate game-time decision for Ben Roethlisberger, and Roethlisberger got the nod. He's 7 of 14 for 50 yards, and just not doing Roethlisberger type of things out on the field.
Well, I thought Mike Tomlin did a smart thing earlier in the week. He didn't want to ride the emotional roller coaster with this decision, and so they really went into this week with the assumption that Landry Jones would start and not Ben Roethlisberger. So that took away a lot of the questions for the players, and I think that they handled it well. And of course, they split the reps. With the bye week, they had extra practice time. The reps were important, not just for Landry Jones, but even Zach Mettenberger got some reps. So, but the bottom line is they're not playing well. They're not executing right now on offense, and it really starts with their production on the early downs and their inability to convert a single third down in the first half.
And Rich, 10 penalties for Pittsburgh. That already matches a season high. That's 10 in the first half for the Steelers. Baltimore will have the football to start the second half. They've got a 10-0 lead over Pittsburgh. Winner here will be in first place in the AFC North. Let's send it over to Evan Washburn with Coach Tomlin.
Well, Coach, I know the penalties have to be at the forefront of your mind, but with the offense, what can you do to try and get some timing, some momentum going?
You know, it's just that. We're shooting ourselves in the foot with penalties, putting ourselves in long yardage situations, and you can't do that in a competitive environment. We clean that up. We'll get an opportunity to find our rhythm and move the ball.
Ben was obviously a big story. How did you feel like he looked through 2 quarters?
You know, I thought he was solid, man. I thought all of us were capable of being solid, but again, too many penalties, too many long yardage situations because of it. And that's just a drive killer. You get a 15-yard penalty by a running back face mask, you start first and 25, that's going to be a tough drive. That's going to be a tough conversion. And we've had similar plays like that. So we got to get better in that area.
Coach, always appreciate the time. Thank you.
All right, Evan, 10-0. Baltimore in front. This is the NFL on CBS. We'll be back with the Verizon Halftime Report after this message and a word from your local station. Getting ready for the start of the second half in Baltimore with the Ravens leading the Steelers 10-0. 201 passing yards, 95 coming on the one play for Baltimore. 66 total yards for Pittsburgh, 84 yards of penalties.
Yeah, and I always say in critical times, you've got to think about players and not plays, and your 2 best players aren't getting enough opportunities. Antonio Brown, just the 1 catch for 5 yards, and of course, you look at Le'Veon Bell, 9 carries, 17 yards. The production's simply not there.
Time for the Shoulders of Greatness highlight of the first half. It's brought to you by Head & Shoulders. Joe Flacco to Mike Wallace.
Yeah, and then the rest is history. I mean, Mike Wallace, once he gets up on the second level in the secondary, not a lot of defensive players are going to be able to make this tackle. But, you know, I was talking a little bit about these situations you get yourself involved in. If you're a play caller, you can't think about this big play sheet. You got to think about the players, and we've got to find a way to get Ben Roethlisberger going, and I think it starts with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. They need to be more involved in the offense in the second half.
Is that your play sheet right there?
That's my play sheet. These are all these hot plays. I've been working all week on a hot script. Don't think about the plays. Think about players in critical situations.
Rich Gannon, Iron Eagle. These games are normally a slugfest, as we know. This is the 45th edition of Steelers and Ravens, but Pittsburgh's offense has not been able to find any kind of flow. Ben Roethlisberger, question mark to play this week. It came right down to game day as to whether or not he would be in the starting lineup. Mike Tomlin electing to go with Roethlisberger over Landry Jones.
Yeah, and we've been talking a lot about stats here at the half, but you can throw stats out the window here in the second half. This game is going to boil down to who's going to play with the greater purpose, the greater energy and passion, and who can make the better adjustments in the second half. I think it really starts with both offenses who have had their issues on third down.
Chris Boswell kicks it off. It bounces over the head of Hester, and a touchback with a penalty marker down at the 43-yard line on Pittsburgh's end of the field. So the recurring theme from the first half spills over here on the opening kickoff of the second half. Another flag. 10 penalties against Pittsburgh in the first half, 6 against Baltimore.
Offside, kicking team number 14. Baltimore has elected to take the 5-yard penalty and re-kick.
The offsides is against Sammy Coates. So a re-kick here, with the Ravens leading at 10-0. This game is for first place in the division. Ravens interaction 1 game behind Pittsburgh. A win would put Baltimore at 4-4. Steelers would drop to 4-4, and obviously Ravens would have the early tiebreak because of the head-to-head.
You know, it's amazing. Good teams don't lose 4 in a row, and yet the Ravens have lost 4 straight games. And as you point out, Ian, I mean, this is to be at this point in the season and still have a chance to be in first place. It's an amazing opportunity that they can't let slip away. They've worked hard all week on trying to establish an identity on offense, continue to stop the run on defense. They do a lot of self-scout. Both teams use the bye week wisely to identify things that they were doing well and some areas where they can get cleaned up, really in all 3 phases of the game.
So take 2 here for Chris Boswell. Back it up after the penalty, and Devin Hester waiting for it inside the 5. Same result. Boswell drills it to the end zone, out to the 25-yard line for Baltimore. Let's send it over to Evan Washburn.
The Lions spoke with John Harbaugh, really pleased with the way his defense was able to stop the run. Bought up Le'Veon Bell. He felt like they tackled really well. That was the key in that area. Obviously, would love to see his offense extend the lead, make the plays, as he said, when they're available to make them. The guy who can do that, Mike Wallace, we already saw it. He went in with an illness. He's back out there and available to start the 3rd quarter.
All right, Evan, number 25 in total offense, 332 yards per game, 26th in scoring, averaging just under 19 points per game. Flacco straight ahead. Terrence West takes it to the 2nd level as Stanley and Zuta provide some space at this 8-yard gain, and a late flag thrown at the 19.
Well, good looking run
Holding.
from West.
Offense
Again, this
number
one's coming
79.
back. Geez, the holding
10-yard
call. You see the
penalty.
back, the tight end gets a
First
kick
down.
out. And boy, the penalties, and especially on the early downs, Ian, have been an absolute killer. It's hard to get something going when you're in these 1st and 15, 1st and 20 situations. Not a lot of calls on the call sheet in those situations. Just trying to get back into a normal down and distance situation.
Ronnie Stanley, another penalty. He missed the last 4 games with a foot injury. This team is 3-0 when Stanley has been in the starting lineup, 0-4 when he hasn't. 1st and 20. Flacco trying to set up the screen. Timed perfectly. Ryan Shazier firing over there to handle Kenneth Dixon.
Every time they try and throw the screen pass, Ryan Shazier is right there to break it up. I mean, look at the anticipation. He almost beats the back to the ball. He's a terrific tackler. He's got great anticipation. He makes so many plays in the middle of that 3-4 defense.
His ability to fly around the field and use those instincts. First round pick in 2014 out of Ohio State. Flacco underneath. Wallace, catch. Stutter step. Wallace lifted up in the air and dropped. Sean Davis, the rookie. And Wallace exchanging some words after the play. It's 12 yards on the catch and run.
Just getting Wallace back on the field is significant for the Ravens. He gives them another deep threat, and he's a guy that can make people miss in the open field. Good form tackle there by the rookie, Sean Davis.
And the bodies actually cushioned the fall.
Wow.
As Timmons was underneath with Davis. 3 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown for Mike Wallace, Pro Bowler back in 2011. Flacco flushed out. Flacco to run to the 30. Slide, and an awkward one at that. Flacco's brother played baseball. And Flacco, that left knee, take a look. That's not good.
Well, they're going to bring pressure. Flacco's going to get out on the edge, and once he sees the green grass, he's off and running. Just looks like when he slides awkwardly and gets that knee caught in the turf.
Flacco grabbing that left knee, and Ryan Mallett is now in at quarterback. Flacco injured on a run that gave Baltimore a first down. Handoff to Terrence West.
Well, when you watch him slide, look at that left knee. He gets caught under the ground, and he's got the brace on. You can see him reach down and grab it. This used to be turf. This is now grass. This was something that was changed over in the offseason, and well, that looked very awkward and uncomfortable for Flacco.
So Ryan Mallett, who actually beat the Steelers in the last meeting between these two teams, is now in there. West gets devoured by James Harrison. And it sets up third down. That was a loss of 5 yards on the play.
We've seen a couple injuries in the first half where the player gets up. Oh yeah, that didn't look good. And they quickly run off the field.
Flacco had to hop.
Oh, maybe his knee brace. See the brace on the knee? It looks like the knee brace might have broke. It's hard to tell, but that doesn't look good. That knee brace is sticking out.
And he went directly to the locker room. Mallett facing a 3rd and 10. Rush is coming. Mallett throws. Handled by Waller. Did not get enough for the first down. Waller trying to extend. It will depend on the spot, but the initial look at it is just short. Chickillo and Timmons combine on the stop.
We had 2 injuries in the first half. Pouncey left the field and Joe Flacco left the field. When you leave the field, you don't give your backup quarterback Ryan Mallett a chance to warm up, get some throws in. He just ran out there cold, had to grab his helmet and keep this drive alive.
So the Ravens facing 4th and a little less than a yard. I think Harbaugh wants a measurement. From this angle, it's short, clearly short. As they extend, it is. By about the length of the football and then some, and Flacco is back on the sideline. They've gotten that knee brace taken care of. And Harbaugh just saved himself a timeout for asking for that measurement.
Well, that's good news to see Joe Flacco. He got up so quickly, you weren't sure whether or not he was injured or he just bent up that knee brace. Looks like it was a knee brace. He's back on the field and he's moving well. It's a huge break for the Ravens.
And Rich, this is also a 4th down. They've sent Flacco back onto the field on 4th and less than a yard in their own territory. And Harbaugh's going for it.
Well, this is no snap, no play. I doubt they snap the ball in this situation.
A shift.
Trying to draw them off sides.
Flacco barks out signals. Play clock is down to 7.
Try and draw them off sides. That never works well when you don't jump the ball and do it in rhythm.
And delay a game. So the intention.
5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Good idea, but
it was never going to happen. Flacco came trotting out, but never took the snap. So the Ravens will punt it. Week 9 continues later today on CBS. For some of you on Fox tonight, Sunday Night Football NBC, and tomorrow it's Monday Night Football on ESPN.
And sometimes when you're struggling to find your rhythm and get something going, a big play in the kicking game, you look at Antonio Brown. He's a guy that can break this game wide open with a big return.
4 career touchdowns on punt returns. Sam Cook, high punt. Brown forced to fair catch it, and contact there from Waller. A clear fair catch from Brown. Waller went in for the hug.
The old bear hug, just to make sure.
We got a break in the action. The Baltimore Ravens up 10-0 on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a flag is down.
There's a late flag. Can't make contact with the player who calls for the fair catch. Question is whether that was significant enough.
Penalties are piling up. 11 for Pittsburgh, 8 for Baltimore. It was unnecessary, obviously, from Waller.
I don't think he ever saw Antonio Brown raise his hand and call for the fair catch. He looked surprised.
It was in the sun. That's where Brown is calling for it.
I don't know that Waller saw
Have
it,
the
though.
receiver
That's the
signal for a
problem.
fair catch. He was contacted unnecessarily. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the catch. Automatic. First down.
The problem if you're
Timeout.
Waller, there's no excuses. You could say I didn't see it, but it's irrelevant. The rule is the rule. No contact after the fair catch. So a 15-yard penalty after Waller hugged Antonio Brown on the fair catch. Ben Roethlisberger leading the Steelers offense on a 1st and 10 from the 29. D'Angelo Williams, his first play from scrimmage, spun down, picks up a yard. C.J. Mosley with a tackle.
Clearly, you see Antonio Brown gets that hand up there, maybe not waving it back and forth. I don't think Darren Waller ever saw it, and that's the point John Harbaugh's trying to make to the officials.
Steelers are trying to change the pace here. Going no huddle. Roethlisberger, toss it. Antonio Brown brought down. He got hit low, and Brown went down after 4 yards on the pickup.
Well, Tavon Young had to fight through a block down the field, and is an outstanding tackle by the rookie corner.
Just the second catch of the day for Brown. 9 yards, 3rd and 5. Roethlisberger dials up a deep ball, looking for Coates. Incomplete. Streaking down the sideline in a matchup with Jimmy Smith. And another 3 and out for Pittsburgh.
That's amazing. You look at the drive chart. It was ugly for the Steelers in the first half. 6 3 and outs. Another 3 and out to start the second half. I like the idea that they tried to jump the ball and go a little up tempo.
Jordan Berry has been the busiest man of the day for Pittsburgh. Fair catch, clear one from Hester. Steelers back off. And a 43-yard punt. Baltimore gets the football back. They've got a 10-0 lead on Pittsburgh.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Hanes with Fresh IQ Advanced Odor Protection Technology. And by National Car Rental. Go national. Go like a pro.
Baltimore Ravens leading the Pittsburgh Steelers 10-0. Joe Flacco back in there after the strange slide on the previous possession. Had to go to the locker room. Flacco throwing on 1st down. Finds a soft spot. And it's Dennis Pitta matched up with Lawrence Timmons on the connection. 8 yards down to Evan Washburn.
Yeah, about the 11:41 mark, all Ravens fans holding their breath as Flacco went down awkwardly on that left knee. I'm told no injury at all. He just broke the brace, guys. You saw him run into the tunnel. He didn't even go all the way to the locker room. He just sat down, and they gave him a new brace, so Flacco just fine.
All right, Evan, I never for a moment thought it was anything other than that knee brace, but the look of it, the visual,
Looked ugly early.
was ugly. Handed off to Dixon, tried to zigzag, and Stephon Tuitt all over it. It's a loss of 1 on the play.
Both these defensive ends for the Steelers have played well in the first half. You look at Tuitt on the other side, getting a healthy Cameron Hayward back on the field. They do a lot of the dirty work inside, so those linebackers like Moats and Shazier and Timmons and Jarvis Jones can run sideline to sideline and make all those tackles.
So it brings up 3rd and 3. Encouraging start to the drive on the hookup with Pitta. And a 4-receiver set now for Baltimore. Smith, the motion man. Working out of the gun. Flacco out of the pocket, trying to set it up. Flacco brought down by Harrison. Joe Flacco didn't see anything he liked downfield, waited, and absorbs a 12-yard loss on the sack.
Well, they bring pressure one way. This is just a coverage sack. This is the struggles that they've been having. Just 8 sacks coming into the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The problem is that they haven't been hand in hand with the back end. That's a coverage sack. Good job on the back end, allowed Harrison to get the sack.
So that's just 9 sacks now on the year. They had not had a sack in back-to-back games. Punt from Cook. Brown along the sideline, and the field position game continues after the 47-yard kick. Pittsburgh still trying to get on the board, down 10-0. Rich, if your kid brought this report card home, how would that go over?
Be a big fat F. I mean, that's just unacceptable. I mean, the 3 and outs are demoralizing to an offense.
2.6 yards per play for Pittsburgh, 8.1 yards per penalty for the Steelers. Roethlisberger knocked up in the air, intercepted. It drops right into the arms of Timmy Jernigan. The Steelers turned it over at the 6:20 mark of the third quarter.
Well, it starts with really good penetration inside from Williams. You see Brandon Williams. He's going to get that big right mid up there, and Jernigan's alert enough to look up, and there's the ball right in his lap. Tipped, deflected balls at the line of scrimmage usually don't turn out well for a quarterback like Roethlisberger. Look at that effort there by Brandon Williams. He is so tough to move off the ball even when you try and double team him.
And he is going to be making a boatload of money at the end of this season. Baltimore with a 10-0 lead. Roethlisberger intercepted off the deflection. Flacco throws, incomplete. Mike Wallace was looking for a penalty. Pressure came from William Gay on Joe Flacco. 2nd and 10.
You're seeing a lot of perimeter pressure from the Pittsburgh Steelers on the early downs. William Gay has come a bunch. Flacco's not seeing it.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are the only team in the NFL yet to play a game decided by 7 points or less. Meanwhile, the Baltimore Ravens, that's all they know is close games. 9 straight games have been decided by 1 score. That's 8 points or less. 21 of their last 23. Handoff to West, and he's driven by Timmons after the gain of 1. NFL Today update, JB and Boomer.
Giants pad is 11, Boomer. Hey, guys, Eli Manning has thrown 4 touchdown passes today. This is going to be 36 yards to Sterling Shepard. They take a 17 lead. Back and forth they go between these two teams. This game is far from over. 7:35 left in the third. Back to Iron Eagle.
Ben McAdoo pushing the right buttons today. The Giants at 4-3. Trying to keep pace in the division. Throw to Mike Wallace. And the play will be whistled dead. Forward progress to the 25. A little bit of extracurricular. Cockrell and Mitchell there defensively. That's a 7-yard pickup. And it brings up 4th down for Baltimore.
When you really watch these two defenses, if there's one thing that they have in common, it's they tackle well. They take good angles to the football. They pursue well, but they tackle well. We've seen a lot of big tackles from both defenses today.
Field goal try from 42 yards away for Justin Tucker. He's a perfect 19 of 19 on the season. Morgan Cox will snap it, holds it, and the field goal is dead solid perfect. Tucker, 20 of 20 on the season, and the Baltimore Ravens now lead it 13-0. AFC North rivalry renewal against the Steelers.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Kay Jewelers. For 100 years, every kiss begins with K. And by Papa John's, official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Baltimore Ravens trying to even their record at 4-4 after suffering through a 4-game losing streak. They started the season 3-0. Pittsburgh Steelers have dropped 2 in a row. Both teams coming off the bye, and Baltimore's got a 13-0 advantage on Pittsburgh. Tucker kicks it off. That is over the head of Coates. Steelers will have it at the 25-yard line. Ben Roethlisberger, 8 of 17, 54 yards, and an interception today.
And in the past, when they've had struggles moving the football, they've decided to go up tempo. They've given Ben Roethlisberger more freedom and flexibility to call plays at the line of scrimmage. I think this is what they need. They need a spark. They need to do something differently here in the second half.
Marquise Pouncey suffered that right thumb injury, first series of the day. He came back, but now he is back in the locker room, and his return is doubtful. B.J. Finney is in at center. Can somebody step forward on offense for Pittsburgh? Le'Veon Bell, driven backwards. Michael Pierce leading that charge for Baltimore.
This play had no chance. I mean, you look at how many defenders are up around the line of scrimmage. There's nowhere to run the football. You have the safety right here. They're one short. I mean, Le'Veon Bell has no chance. You have to have the ability, you have to have tools in your toolbox to get out of those plays into a better situation. You have to be more aggressive and throw the ball down the field when they decide to put 8 men up around the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 14. Steelers also lost Darius Heyward-Bey today. Slowed down Bell and brought down after the gain of 2. C.J. Mosley pressing the line and getting to Bell down low.
I'm just watching the 2 big men inside. And they're doing a great job tying up the double teams, and it's allowing players like C.J. Mosley to run through those holes without being accounted for.
The Steelers have been outscored 64-18 in their last 2 road games. The worst back-to-back road losses for Pittsburgh since '89. They're down 13-0 here. Roethlisberger. Double coverage, Antonio Brown. And it wasn't even close. It's 4th down.
Well, they're struggling. You're seeing so much double man. You have 2 safeties, and they're helping over the top. So the area you have to work is in the middle of the field, and yet they're trying to throw the ball and force the ball outside to Antonio Brown. There is no way you're going to be able to fit that one in between the corner and the safety. And you can even see there's a little bit of indecision there from Ben Roethlisberger as they try and fight to the man.
Jordan Berry punts it. Devin Hester backpedals, secures it. And a fair catch called for. He'll get it at the 23-yard line. 53-yard punt. Nothing going for Pittsburgh on offense. Ravens take over a 1st and 10 at their own 23-yard line with 3:18 to go in the 3rd quarter. 13-0 lead for Baltimore. Taking that running lane, Terrence West turns it into a 5-yard gain. Zuta with the block up front. With NFL Mobile, stream live local Sunday afternoon primetime games and NFL Red Zone right on your mobile device. Learn more at NFL.com/mobile.
When you have a team on the ropes, you got to be able to finish. And this is one of the issues that the Ravens have had this season. They've not been a good finishing team late.
2nd and 5. James Hurst is in. Extra offensive lineman for Baltimore. Blocking up front for West. Slowed down in a spin as Cockrell makes the play. It's a loss of 1 for Baltimore in the run game. So it brings up 3rd down and 6 now for the Ravens.
There's a lot of instances as we've watched where both quarterbacks have decided to run the football into an unblocked front, where you've had a corner or a safety down around the line of scrimmage that wasn't accounted for.
Time ticking away. We'll hit the 2-minute mark of this 3rd quarter on a 3rd and 6. Rush coming. Flacco hooks up with Aiken for a 1st down. Ryan Shazier trying to strip the ball away. Aiken makes sure that it doesn't pop free. It's a 9-yard pickup.
Well, they love these crossing routes against man-to-man coverage. You see Aiken, he's going to beat Shazier across his face. You give Flacco some time in a clean pocket, and he can really hurt you.
Flacco's on pace for 4,199 yards. He's never thrown for 4,000 yards in a season. But he's not having one of his better seasons. In fact, it's been one of his worst seasons. It shows that they've thrown the ball a lot.
Too much.
Way too much this year. Shake and bake move by West. It's a 1-yard pickup. Do things change now with the offensive line back healthy again? They've had a number of different combinations. In fact, 5 different starting offensive line combinations this season, tied with Cleveland and Indianapolis for most in the NFL.
And we talked in the open about establishing an identity on offense, and it means having some balance. They're throwing it too much. They're averaging 44 attempts a game coming into this one. This game, at least they've been trying to mix it up with the run.
Flacco offline. Steve Smith the target. Artie Burns draws the assignment on the perimeter.
This would have been a very difficult catch for Steve Smith. Look at the extension, though. Look at the effort. I just love watching Steve Smith play. He has passion for competition. He brings some attitude and toughness to this huddle. He's always been so good after the catch. He can still make the acrobatic catch. And you look at him, he's only 5'9", 5'9" inches tall, but his size has never been an issue because he's so tough.
Five-time Pro Bowler has said he will retire at the end of the season. Flacco, a deep drop. Flacco loses the ball. Steelers knock it free. The ball was sitting there at the 27-yard line. James Harrison put the heat, and Baltimore comes away with it. Marshall Yanda has got it for the Ravens.
Well, Stanley right now is struggling with the veteran Harrison. He strips the ball. This is just what the doctor ordered for an offense that's struggling. Flacco never feels the veteran come back around and strip it out of his right hand.
Flacco went down to get it. He couldn't, and Yanda jumped in late to come away with it. Cooked the punt. They're not going to let Brown even touch it. Out of bounds. They'll mark it off along that sideline. 30, 31 and a half. And that'll end the third quarter after the 40-yard punt. Baltimore's got a 13-0 lead on Pittsburgh. We'll return after this message and a word from your local station. This is the NFL on CBS. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens lead at 13-0 as we start the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh with the football. Roethlisberger a drop, and the ball was hit as he was trying to get it to Le'Veon Bell.
He just doesn't look comfortable to me right now. And he's fighting to find a completion. I don't think it's a physical thing right now with Ben Roethlisberger as much as it is a mental thing. They're not playing well around him, and he's having a difficult time finding the open receiver.
Roethlisberger has been so durable throughout his career. Takes big hits because he's a big guy and he's hard to bring down. Protection holds up. Roethlisberger trying to get out of the pocket. Buying time. Throws it to the sideline. And Jesse James with a clean catch and a first down for Pittsburgh.
Well, this is where Ben Roethlisberger is most dangerous. His ability to move, keep his eyes down the field, and make what seems like the impossible throw. Look at the concentration on the boundary by Jesse James.
Illegal formation, offense.
Jeez.
Number 84 was covering the tight end. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Now these have been crushers. Anytime there's been something somewhat positive for Pittsburgh, it gets negated by yet another penalty.
Well, that's a mental error on the part of Antonio Brown. He covered up the tight end. He's got to be off the ball as the tight end's on the ball. These are just mistakes that you simply can't make this part of the season.
12 penalties, costing the Steelers 94 yards. And a 2nd and 15 now for Pittsburgh. Just underway in the fourth quarter. Quick hitter, Eli Rogers. Rogers was dealing with turf toe. He got off to a great start to the season when the Steelers went into Washington and won the opener. Rogers was a big part of that. But staying on the field has been the issue for Rogers. It's a 7-yard pickup.
The Steelers have so much speed at the wide receiver position. If you're the Ravens secondary, you have to tackle well. That's what they've done all day today. They're so dangerous after the catch. When they've completed balls, they've been right there to make the stop.
They are 0 of 9 on third down conversions. This is a 3rd and 8 for Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger steps and fires. Incomplete. Antonio Brown, the ball was behind him, and it's 4th down.
Well, sometimes you're just working the wrong way, and you look at this separation that they get at the bottom with Eli Rogers. I mean, that's wide open. I mean, I don't know if his read took him somewhere else, but you got man-to-man coverage. You got to give Eli Rogers a chance.
Jordan Berry gets knocked down. Ball
scooped up for the score. Chris Moore. Touchdown, Baltimore.
And the wheels have come off for the Steelers.
This is amazing. You're going to see they don't even block him. I mean, Davis is the rookie. He steps right outside. This is just too easy for Allen.
The block by Javorius Allen, and then there was nobody near Chris Moore.
And they didn't even block him. I mean, that's amazing. Boy, the mistakes that the Steelers have made today on offense, on defense, and in the kicking game. Some of them just simply inexcusable.
A long day all around for Pittsburgh on that sideline. Ravens will go for two, trying to make this 21-0. Flacco. They got it. Steve Smith. Baltimore with a big bang in the fourth quarter. They block the punt from Berry, and they turn it into 8 points with a 2-point conversion. The Ravens trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. We're getting excited at home. It's Steelers week. 21-0 Baltimore. This is the biggest lead the Ravens have had in a game in 2 years.
Every game seems like it's a one-score game with the Ravens.
And once again, it's Chris Moore making a play on special teams. He did it against the Jets 2 weeks ago before the bye. He does it again here on a scoop and score after the block punt by Allen. Standings coming into the day, the Pittsburgh Steelers 4-3, leading the AFC North. Cincinnati sandwiched in between the Steelers and the Ravens at 3-4-1. But a Baltimore win would put them at 4-4. And they would have first place in the AFC North.
Their control of the North at stake in this one. And, you know, Terrell Suggs told us on Friday that everyone realized the opportunity after losing 4 straight to get this headed back in the right direction with a win over the Steelers.
Roethlisberger works it to the flat, and Eli Rogers. It's a 5-yard pickup. C.J. Mosley makes the play for Baltimore on defense.
Well, this is a critical drive, obviously, and for Pittsburgh. If they can't get something done here, then you probably might want to consider putting Landry Jones in there, just to be smart with Ben Roethlisberger, who's still recovering from that injury.
Mishandled the snap. Somehow Le'Veon Bell steps in with a heads-up play and turns it into a 4-yard gain. It's going to be 3rd and 1 on a day where Pittsburgh has 2 total first downs. Mosley and Zadarius Smith will get credited with a tackle. 3rd and 1 for Pittsburgh. Brown sets up on the outside. He has been held in check. 2 catches for 9 yards. They'll try to run it, and they will. They'll move the chains with Le'Veon Bell. 3-yard gain right up the middle. Their first 3rd down conversion of the afternoon. They are now 1 of 11. Pittsburgh came in number 11 in total offense, 372 yards per game, 12th in scoring, over 24 points per game. They're under 100 yards. We're in the 4th quarter. Operating out of the gun, it's Bell again. Tried to stutter step, and look how many purple jerseys were there to meet him, including Jernigan and Orr for Baltimore.
And they're doing a great job getting upfield and just controlling the line of scrimmage. And it's the battle in the trenches has been won by this Baltimore defense.
Number 4 against the run, 81.9 yards allowed per game. They've given up 23 rushing yards today. Roethlisberger throws, hooks up with Antonio Brown. A spin move by Brown with a flag thrown at the 48. He's down at the 45. 7-yard gain. Will it stand for Pittsburgh? John is checking with the Steelers sideline.
Before the pass is thrown, holding defense number 54. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
So the Steelers get the first down.
Zachary Orr, he's got Antonio. He's covering Le'Veon Bell. I don't know about all that. It just checked him to line of scrimmage. I don't know if I agree with that call.
So no catch for Antonio Brown. Steelers get the first down on the penalty. Roethlisberger fires down the field. There's Antonio Brown, ridden down inside the 30 of Baltimore. Lardarius Webb and Jimmy Smith. That's a 27-yard hookup.
This is just the chemistry that the quarterback and the receiver have, and just trusting. This is a really good throw by Ben Roethlisberger. He's going to fit it in right behind or the linebacker and the safety, Lardarius Webb. Those are the throws you work on day in and day out.
Rich, this is the first play Pittsburgh has had in Baltimore territory.
And another penalty.
Movement.
Full start. Offense number 66. 5-yard penalty. First down.
David DeCastro is called on the penalty. So here's how things have played out for Pittsburgh. They've had 9 3-and-outs, 12 penalties for 94 yards. They've converted 1 first down on 3rd down, and they had a block punt return for a touchdown. They also gave up a 95-yard touchdown, Flacco to Wallace.
Very uncharacteristic, and especially coming off their bye week.
Back it up to a 1st and 15. Roethlisberger will toss it low to Bell. Couldn't turn the corner. Angle cut off by Zachary Orr. That's just 2 yards, 2.5 for Bell.
Every player in the purple jersey has memorized the numbers 84 and 26 this week. I mean, they have done a terrific job containing Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown for the most part. And most of the time, there has been 2 defenders tied up on Antonio Brown. Linebackers have played in and out coverage on Le'Veon Bell.
Bell still doesn't have a touchdown this season. The snap goes low. Roethlisberger trying to make it up as he goes with a deep ball. Brown couldn't catch it. Lardarius Webb recovers for the Ravens. Remember, B.J. Finney, the backup center, is in there for Marquise Pouncey, out with a thumb injury.
Talked about these plays that come out of rhythm with Ben Roethlisberger, and that's the thing that concerns you most as a defensive coordinator. You see the big hit there by McClellan. This one's a little bit further down the field. What an effort there right at the end by the safety. Lardarius Webb does just enough to knock it away from Antonio Brown.
Looked like it was going to be a touchdown to Brown. Instead, it's a 3rd and 13 for Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger steps up. He throws it, and it's short of a first down. Catch made by Eli Rogers.
4-down territory.
Yeah, field goal doesn't help you. You're down 21-0 right now with 9:14 and counting left in the 4th.
We found a little bit of a rhythm here. Hasn't been pretty. Ben's starting to make some throws.
It's a 4th and 3, trying to keep this drive going.
Critical situation, you've got to think pressure from this Baltimore defense.
Roethlisberger on 4th down. Directing traffic downfield. Roethlisberger will throw. End zone. Antonio Brown. Touchdown, Steelers. Finally. Roethlisberger was looking to his left, trying to direct a receiver to cut downfield, then looked to his right and spotted Antonio Brown.
You cannot allow Ben Roethlisberger to extend plays. That's where he's most dangerous. So many of the big plays in the passing game have come after Ben has gotten out of the pocket. Just study his career. He has made so many of those type of plays in critical situations.
He had a solid 8 seconds there to survey the field. and ultimately found the open man, Antonio Brown. Extra point from Boswell. The Steelers go 9 plays, 75 yards, their first points of the day. Roethlisberger is jogging to the locker room. 21-7 Baltimore.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Citi Double Cash Card. Intel. Upgrade to a new PC with powerful performance. And by Lowe's. Make your home happy.
Ben Roethlisberger is back on the Pittsburgh sideline. Came trotting out just a moment ago. Lets the Steelers on their first scoring drive of the day. It came at the 8:38 mark of the fourth quarter. The kick from Boswell, it's a shoulder kick. Hester, middle of the field, makes a cut. And he is dumped across the 35-yard line. 27-yard return. Stephen Colbert has the election surrounded with live editions of The Late Show the night before and after Election Day. Don't miss him tomorrow and Wednesday live on CBS. So Baltimore takes over, 1st and 10 at its own 36-yard line. They've got a 21-7 lead with 8:32 remaining on the clock.
Well, Pittsburgh needs to stop here. Their defense really hasn't played poorly. They gave up the one big play early to Mike Wallace, the 95-yard touchdown. But other than that, Ian, it's been pretty solid from this Pittsburgh defense.
And off Kevin Dixon, the second effort. Instead of it being a loss, he'll get a gain of 1 as Harrison and Hayward were there defensively on the rookie Dixon. He's been limited to 13 yards on 9 carries.
Boy, both the running backs today, you look at Dixon and West for the Ravens, and obviously Le'Veon Bell, they've been hitting the backfield a lot. I mean, the penetration in the running game has been a real issue for both of these offenses.
Set it up with Juszczyk in front of Dixon on a 2nd and 9 for Baltimore. We are under 8 minutes to play. Flacco looking to throw it, and it's broken up. It was Terrence West, the intended receiver. He slipped in there, replacing Dixon. Lawrence Timmons with the hit, and Dixon shaken up on the previous play. Just getting on the field for Dixon was an achievement. They've been waiting. 4th-round pick out of Louisiana Tech.
Well, this is a big down for the Steelers defense. They need to find a way to get a 3 and out and get off the field. This is an area where they have been pretty good so far this season.
On a 3rd and 9 now, Smith shifts out of the backfield. Flacco operates out of the gun. Throw it underneath, trying to create after the catch, and he's short. Darren Waller brought down by Chickalo of Pittsburgh, and the Ravens go 3 and out.
Mission accomplished. Good stop there by that Pittsburgh defense. Still plenty of time.
Sam Cook will punt it.
I would not give Antonio Brown an opportunity to field this one. That's why directional kicking is so important.
8th punt of the day for Cook. He's averaging just under 42 yards per kick. On the season, 47.5. And he is an outstanding directional punter.
This is an opportunity.
Coverage downfield. Brown heads towards the sideline and has nowhere to go up the field. It's a 43-yard punt. -2 on the return. Roethlisberger and the Steelers are down 14. Ben Roethlisberger was 9 of 21 for just 61 yards and a pick. The last drive, he went 5 out of 6 for 67 yards and a touchdown. The Ravens lead the Steelers 21-7. Pittsburgh takes over with a 1st and 10 at the 10. Roethlisberger slings it to Xavier Grimble. And brought down at the 20-yard line by Gerard Powers and C.J. Mosley. It's a 10-yard gain.
Look him drive this throw and use that lower body and put it right on his tight end. Get him in the transition of the rush. Ben seems to be throwing the ball a whole lot better here in the 4th quarter.
First down for Pittsburgh. 6:16 and counting left in the fourth. Roethlisberger. Oh, he got away for a moment and then brought down by Powers. It looked like a wrestling move. And then Roethlisberger hits the deck. It's a loss of 11.
Well, he never sees the blitz coming from his left side. You're going to see the corner, Gerard Powers. Ben Roethlisberger never sees him until it's too late. You talk about the challenge of trying to tackle a big quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger. If you go for the kill shot, he's liable to duck and make you go over the top. You have to wrap and hold on.
They give Powers credit for sticking that arm out there, not giving up. Popped up, incomplete. Tried to squeeze it into Eli Rogers, and it was Powers who had a beat on it. NFL Today update. JB and Boomer.
Closing seconds in Minnesota. That's right, 3rd and goal right there. 27 seconds ago, that's an underneath handoff to Rhett Ellison. You see that ball come loose, but he had already crossed the plane of the goal line. That's the go-ahead score for Minnesota. They lead 16-13, 9 seconds and counting right now. Detroit has the ball. Does not look like they'll be able to get a snap off. 1 second left. Let's get it back out to Pittsburgh. Back to Ian Eagle.
Hey, Boomer, are you trying to get a play-by-play job? Is that what's happening here?
Yes.
3rd and 21. Roethlisberger pump downfield. It's caught at the 40. A sliding grab by Rodgers. First down Steelers, and it quiets the crowd.
Well, you can never count out Ben Roethlisberger. We talked about these pump fakes. He just throws this in great anticipation. He knows he's got to fit it over the linebacker and in between the both safeties. 30-yard gain. He knew he had Eli Rogers the whole way against two-deep coverage.
Drive remains alive. Roethlisberger hooks a deep pass downfield. A lot of contact. Sammy Coates. No flag.
Jimmy Smith and Sammy Coates were going at it on the sidelines. They just run into each other.
Yep.
It's a good no call in that situation. The Steelers have some real speed on the perimeter. That's something that John Harbaugh talked a lot about this week. We can't allow them to get biased in the secondary.
Antonio Brown is matched up with the rookie Tavon Young.
Look at the cushion. Wow, look at that cushion.
Roethlisberger looks over there. It's caught by Brown. And he is into Baltimore territory, dropped by Lardarius Webb, the safety. 12 yards on the pass play.
Well, now they're rolling, and you see the cushion there from Tavon Young. He just can't give Antonio Brown that much space. Ben Roethlisberger sees that pre-snap. He knows exactly where he's going to go with the football.
Steelers moving quickly here. We're down to 4:27 to play in the fourth. 5 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown for Brown. Shotgun. Roethlisberger fires it. Sideline. Incomplete.
No, he just missed him.
Eli Rogers, the intended target. JB and Boomer, NFL Today update.
Hey, Ian. Boomer doing his best. Ian.
Well, when I last left you, Ian, it looked like Detroit might have lost this game, but no. They have to get up there and spike the ball, stop the clock. Matt Prater, 58-yard field goal. This game is going into overtime.
Ian, you've inspired him to become a play-by-play guy. Back to Ian Eagle.
I'll move to the analyst role. I'm okay with that.
It's your versatility.
2nd and 10 here for Pittsburgh.
I mean, this is 4-down territory now for Pittsburgh the rest of the way.
Roethlisberger fires it. Perfect timing. Walking along that perimeter is Rodgers, and he's out of bounds. So Eli Rogers has stepped forward. That's 22 yards. Now 5 catches for 74 yards.
This is the exact same route they just ran that they missed earlier to Eli Rogers. It's pretty good coverage. Ben puts it in the only place that he possibly could over the outstretched arms of Gerard Powers.
First down for Pittsburgh. 4:09 to play. Ravens lead at 21-7, trying to hold on against the Steelers. Roethlisberger will throw it. End zone, over the shoulder. Incomplete. The bobble by Coates.
Well, Eric Weddle gets caught peeking in the backfield, and Coates goes right over top of him, and he just can't squeeze. He's concerned about trying to tap the feet in. First thing you got to do is make sure you squeeze it and make the catch in the back of the end zone.
That's a great throw by Roethlisberger.
Oh my goodness. I think he throws the prettiest deep ball in the game. and he's not afraid to take chances in this situation.
2nd and 10 now for the Steelers. Trying to claw back into it against Baltimore.
The protection has been so much better here late in the game.
Roethlisberger, another long ball. Incomplete. Rodgers extended. And off the deflection, Eric Weddle tried to get underneath it for the INT.
Boy, this was a gift. This is a play that Weddle has to make. See, he's trying to fit another one into Rodgers. Look where this ball hits Weddle. I mean, just can't squeeze it. And it hits him right in the hands. I think he's surprised more than anything. Ooh.
3-time Pro Bowler, signed during the offseason. Said that this was the perfect situation for him. It's been revitalizing. Could have closed the door on this game. Instead, it's 3rd and 10. Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown. Short of the 15-yard line, but enough for the first down. C.J. Mosley will get credit for the tackle. Clock is moving. We're down to 3:40 to play. Roethlisberger, 213 yards, the touchdown, and the pick.
Just got to keep an eye on where Antonio Brown lines up. That's been his guy in these situations.
Working out of the gun. Drop ball, Le'Veon Bell. Ravens 21, the Steelers 7. 3:26 to play in the 4th quarter. And Pittsburgh driving through 3 quarters. The Steelers could not sustain drives. 3 and outs throughout the day. Finally in the 4th, signs of life from Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers.
Yeah, and he's gotten it going. The protection's been better. He's been able to find a way to get Antonio Brown involved. He had the touchdown. It looked like a completely different offense here in the 4th quarter.
He had left meniscus surgery on October the 17th. 20 days later, he's starting for the Steelers. Brown the catch. Giving him cushion once again. 4 yards on the completion for Antonio Brown.
When you think about Ben Roethlisberger, I think he may be the best in the game at creating and improvising, and that's really what separates him from everyone else. When it's not perfect, he can still make a play in a tough spot, and that's what we're seeing from Ben here in the 4th quarter.
3rd down now for the Steelers. 3rd and 6. From the gun. Roethlisberger trying to fight it off. Slam down! It's Judon! A loss of 12.
Boy, this is just great effort by Judon. He's working on the right tackle, Marcus Gilbert. He just holds on for dear life. He's just trying to find any way he possibly can to get him on the ground. We've seen so much double coverage from these corners, getting help over the top from the safeties. Just great coverage. Let's just talk about the coverage and the pressure going hand in hand. If you do your job on the back end, that allows players like Judon to get the sack.
The Steelers call timeout, now facing a 4th and 18. Trailing by 14 points here in Baltimore. 45th time these two teams have met. Pittsburgh is 24-20 against the Ravens, including the postseason.
And if you're Todd Haley, the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers, you got to ask yourself, what are we expecting here on 4th and 18? Is it pressure? Is it some type of all-out blitz? If it were me, if I were Dean Pease, I'm bringing the house in this situation. I'm not going to let Ben Roethlisberger run around back there and make a play. So the question is it coverage or is it pressure in this situation? If I were the coordinator, I'm bringing pressure.
Shotgun. 4th and 18 for Roethlisberger of the Steelers.
It's coming. Here it comes.
Roethlisberger pulls the trigger. End zone! Over the head of Sammy Coates. And the Ravens take over on downs. Pittsburgh comes up empty on 4th down. Baltimore holds on to the 21-7 lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. And by Subway. Try the new Autumn Carb Turkey Sandwich today.
The Ravens defense holds against Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. On 4th and long, Roethlisberger could not find Sammy Coates, and the Ravens take over 1st and 10 at the 25. Hand it off to West. Yeah, there's nothing there. He's driven backwards by Harrison for no gain.
Well, you go back and look, they're going to show blitz, but they bail, but they bring the corner pressure. This is going to force Ben to throw the football, not hold it. They actually have it accounted for, but he's trying to find the open receiver. You see the two doubles outside. You just see the frustrating day that Ben Roethlisberger has had.
Pittsburgh electing not to use the timeouts here, and Baltimore very comfortable using as much time as possible. No hole there for West.
I'll take one here.
Limited to a 1-yard gain, and that stops the clock with 2:18 to play. Robert Golden makes the stop for Pittsburgh. So it'll be 3rd down and long for the Ravens. Pittsburgh has 1 timeout remaining, and they've got the 2-minute warning as well. Coming up next, Andrew Luck and the Colts head to Lambeau to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, or the Titans face the Chargers. Check your local listings for the NFL on CBS.
But neither team has really been able to run the ball in this one. Look at the two leading rushers, West with 21 yards on 15 carries, Le'Veon Bell 23 yards on 14 carries. Both defenses, both front sevens have done an excellent job turning this really into a one-dimensional game.
3rd and 9. They fake the handoff. Flacco's just going to go down. Not taking any chances downfield.
Forced Pittsburgh to use that last time out.
Shazier put a bit of pressure. Chicolo was in the area as well, and now it's 4th down for Baltimore.
We tried to fool him.
Steelers are out of timeouts. Ben Roethlisberger getting the nod today. The big play from Baltimore's Mike Wallace on the catch and run, longest play in Ravens history, 95 yards. Roethlisberger victimized on the deflection. Williams hit it first, Jernigan the interception, then the block by Javorius Allen, scooped up there by Moore for the touchdown. Roethlisberger did get the touchdown to Brown, but the Baltimore defense has been up to the task. Punt from Cook. And it's out of bounds. So Pittsburgh has no timeouts. They do have the 2-minute warning. They take over down by 14. Let's go to JB and Boomer in New York.
Fitzpatrick says, don't give up on me yet. It's been a wild game down in Miami, guys. Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to find Jalen Marshall, 18 yards. The Jets are going to take the lead, 23-20. Miami has the ball, 5:29 left in the 4th quarter.
Ian and Rich.
So the Jets in front. We'll keep you posted on that one. Miami trying to battle back. Ajayi was trying to make it 3 straight games of 200 or more yards rushing. He's got 67 on the ground so far today and a touchdown. Steelers in a 14-point hole against the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens have won 3 straight in the series. Roethlisberger throws it, and it's dropped by Antonio Brown. Trying to run before he actually hauled it in.
Well, you look at the struggles that they have had, and Antonio Brown trying to run before he catches the football, trying to make a big play that simply wasn't there. It's been a frustrating day for Antonio Brown. Better production in the second half, but just had a really slow start in the first half.
Ben Roethlisberger has thrown the ball 23 times in the 4th quarter, 41 overall. Long ball is caught. Eli Rogers. He was inactive a couple of weeks ago, still battling that foot injury. He's back in there. He's had an impact as we hit the 2-minute warning in Baltimore. Steelers are 4-3. Ravens are 3-4. Winner here will be in first place in the AFC North. 21-7, Baltimore in front. Steelers are out of timeouts. 1:58 to play. First down for Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger pump and throw. It's handled by Bell. Bell tries to make a move and still going. Had to get out of bounds. Initially, it looked like he was going to cut it upfield. He tried to. Powers took the brunt of that, and he turns it into an 8-yard gain.
Well, just Powers just not able to wrap up. Le'Veon Bell's a big back at 225 pounds. That stops the clock and gives the Steelers another shot. Got to strike quickly with no timeouts left, down by 2 scores. Ben's got to start throwing for the end zone. How deep the safeties are, they're off the screen.
1:48 to play. Roethlisberger, deep ball. They'll try it to the end zone. Incomplete. Kobe Hamilton, the intended receiver, with Jimmy Smith. And Smith has done excellent work on his side of the field.
We haven't really mentioned his name very much. That's probably a good thing if you're a corner in this league, but he has done a terrific job. In some situations, he's been in single coverage. A lot of times, he and Weddle have worked really well together in unison to really shut down Antonio Brown in the first half. Been a lot of double coverage towards Antonio Brown.
On 3rd down. Running play, they'll get the first down with Bell.
Can't get out of bounds.
Oh, he lost the ball at the end of the play. Albert McClellan comes away with it. It'll be ruled down and could not get to that sideline. So the clock is rolling. He was met by Zachary Orr on the play.
Yeah, I think the ball comes out when he hits the ground. It's a good call by the officials. Well, he was trying to get out of bounds.
Line of scrimmage is now the 16. 1:08 to play. Roethlisberger looking, tosses underneath. Le'Veon Bell after the catch, a blast, and he stays upright, and it's Eric Weddle who goes down, and he's out of bounds.
You know, I talked to Todd Haley on Thursday night. He said Le'Veon Bell, if we wanted to, we could use him as a receiver. Watch that hit he delivers on Eric Weddle. He is a big, powerful back that can do real damage in the open field. He is so good. I think he's the best back in the game when it comes to the passing game. He is so good matching up against linebackers and safeties.
1st and goal inside the 5. Steelers down by 14. Roethlisberger, time in the pocket. On the move, Roethlisberger will run for it. Touchdown, Steelers. Pittsburgh making it interesting.
You know, Ben Roethlisberger has always had a difficult time throwing the ball away because he's made so many big plays over the course of his career. No one's there. He just holds it. He's patient. It's the last thing the Ravens expected in this situation. Ben Roethlisberger with a knee injury to be able to run in there. Look at the coverage. Look at the double on Antonio Brown. They run him out of the back of the end zone. They're not going to let him catch the ball in this situation. Double on the tight end, Jesse James. There's just nowhere for Ben to go with the football. Same thing on the other side. You're seeing a lot of doubles outside. The guys on the inside have to win against man-to-man coverage.
That's the point. Boswell knocks it through. It's 21-14 with 48 seconds left. Steelers will get into the alignment.
And look at this effort by Ben Roethlisberger. He did knee surgery October 17th. He just dives for the end zone. You think this game's not important to him? The players see that type of effort. You see that commitment for a guy that clearly is not 100%. It didn't go well for him early, but he hung in there. He battled everything he can to give his team a chance to win.
And now an onside kick for Pittsburgh. First rushing touchdown since 2013 at Green Bay for Big Ben. It'll be Boswell with the Baltimore Hands team coming out trying to end this game. Steelers have no timeouts. If the Ravens come away with the football, it's over.
You know, you think about this game, we thought it may be over early in the third quarter. Talked about the Ravens learning to finish late in games. Each of their last 9 games has been decided by 8 points or less. Another nail biter for the Ravens. We'll look at the Ravens special teams coordinator, Jerry Rosburg, trying to get his guys lined up. See the shift.
And now Baltimore will use a timeout. They got
good use of a
chance
timeout.
to get a peek at what Pittsburgh was thinking about.
It's a good, John Harbaugh, former special teams coordinator. On the other side, you get a good look at the Steelers special team coordinator, Danny Smith. They've got a couple different kicks that they'll use in this situation, but it was a good use of a timeout. Now it allows them to at least see what Pittsburgh was trying to do. There's a good chance Pittsburgh may change it up here a little bit, but these are situations that you rehearse constantly during the course of the week.
Second half of our NFL on CBS doubleheader coming up. Indianapolis at Green Bay or Tennessee in San Diego. Roethlisberger looking for one last chance.
And he has that big arm. And if they get the ball back here, he can take a couple shots down the field. He can reach the end zone easily with that cannon.
Comes down to special teams if Pittsburgh will get another opportunity. Chris Boswell puts it on the tee, and it falls off the tee.
Yeah, they're going to shift again. You're going to see a couple players on the right side run over to the left side. You can't have more than 6 on any one side, so you can't put 7 or 8 on one side.
So there's the shift. Ravens respond. That thing went half a yard, then he just drills it down the field.
That was bad.
And 2 penalties are down.
That is a swing and a miss.
That was a whiff.
You don't see that very often. The official's even laughing about that one. He just comes up. I don't know if he just...
No, this
That's
isn't
asking a little too much. He was trying to show that he was kicking it to the left and was going to try and pooch it to the right. That was an accident waiting to happen. He's going to try and kick it with his right foot.
Yeah, he got a little too creative.
What's that Irish dance they do, the jig?
Yeah.
That's what that looked like. Jeez.
You can't kick it twice, so that's why the penalty flags came down. These guys are cracking
The
up.
officials are laughing.
They're saying, well, you've been in the league how long? Have you ever seen that? No, not me either. Have you seen it?
What just happened?
That was an air ball, right? Yeah.
Well, that really sums up the day of the Pittsburgh Steelers, in my opinion. And it didn't begin well for them. They struggled really offensively. The penalties, the mistakes, the missed assignments.
Now that would be walking up to the first tee, everybody watching, and then taking a whiff and a mulligan. Well, that allowed the teams to come together because the officials had grouped in the center of the field at the 35-yard line, and now they got to maintain the peace.
There are no mulligans in this business. Although right now, Chris Boswell would love one.
This game is over. It's just a matter of the officials sorting out the penalty.
Now, you have to imagine.
That was illegally kicking the ball. That is a penalty. That penalty is declined. We're going to place the ball at the spot where it's first touched by the kicker, which is first touching. It'll be Baltimore's ball at that spot. First down.
Yeah, the conference was really to decide where to place the ball. That's not something we usually see, but you got to ask yourself, I'm sure this wasn't a one-off. This is something that they worked on and rehearsed in practice, but
not like that.
That is, in terms of degree of difficulty, that's got to be way up there.
It was like he was using a hacky sack. He went for some kind of elaborate move.
I question the decision-making really from Danny Smith, the special teams coordinator. I'm just watching it. You could try that 4 or 5 times. That's not an easy kick.
He's going with the element of surprise.
Yep.
Everything leaning left. Kick it right with the other foot.
But you always want to put your players in a position where they have a chance to be successful. I just think that is a high degree of difficulty in pulling that one off in that situation.
Obviously, if you kick it the necessary 10 yards, wacky things happen. That's why you have the onside kick to begin with, but he didn't give his team a chance to get to the football. Flacco takes a knee. They'll have to do it one more time.
And that's the point. At least if you just roll the ball down the field 10 yards, you at least give yourself a chance to make a play.
The Baltimore Ravens snap a 4-game losing streak, and they take over first place.
Amazing.
In the AFC North. They defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers 21-14. The 45th edition of this meeting all time. It belongs to Baltimore.
Well, there's still a lot of football left to be played. We'll see these two teams again at some point.
Ravens won it. Coming up next, game 2 of the doubleheader for Rich Gannon and Evan Washburn. This is Ian Eagle saying so long from Baltimore. Now it's time for the NFL Today update. We send it to New York and James Brown.